Now, live inside the Matt Black Kia Studios, here's Mike Gill.
A happy hour Friday edition of the Sports Bash begins right now. What's going on, everybody? This is the Sports Bash live on 97.3 ESPN, the free mobile app, the live video streaming, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Over at 97.3 ESPN, search that, and you will find me and the show. What's going on? I'm your host, Mike Gill. Josh Henning is producing today's show. You out there on a happy hour Friday, 4th of July weekend edition. Holy moly. The NBA playoffs continue last night with no Trae Young and no Giannis Antetokounmpo. The Bucks 1 win away from heading to the NBA Finals. Also, no Phils last night. Can't blast them. They did nothing wrong. It just rained. Mike McGarry joins me at the back end of the hour to talk about the job Joe Girardi has done and the role of the baseball manager. We like to blame managers and coaches a lot. How big of a role has Joe Girardi had with the, disappointment in this team? Had the Phillies been a disappointment? Did we have expectations for them? Josh is saying yes. I'm not sure that anybody really thought this was a good team. It's just the way that they're bad is what's surprising to me. Like, I feel like their record is about where I may have thought it would be, but how they got here is almost inconceivable. Maybe not where they are record-wise. Like, maybe I thought they would be. What are they actually? They are currently 37-41. Like, maybe I thought they'd be 41-37 or 40-38. So them being 37-41, they're not so far off of what I thought they would be. It's just that I think as bad as they are, the realization is setting in that after years and years and years of bad baseball, that they're not getting any better. There is no light at the end of the proverbial tunnel for the Phillies. You know, the Sixers played bad basketball for 3 years, but you finally saw the fruits of the labor in the 2017 season when Joel Embiid finally got out on the court for the first time after sitting out for 2 years, and you finally said, this guy appears to be pretty good. You saw the light at the end of the Sixers tunnel. They got Ben Simmons. They paired him with Joel Embiid. Although many of you don't like that pairing, it led them to 50-win seasons. It led them to the playoffs. It led them to playoff series victories. Not what you want, but at least after bad play, there was a proverbial turn of the organization. I don't see the turn of the Phillies organization. I just don't see when that's happening, how they're going to get there. It is one of the more bizarre things in sports. Is like, you're a fan, you're the armchair GM. We love playing that role. We always think we can fix everything. I don't know that this one's fixable. Yeah, I could sit here and tell you till the cows come home, ooh, yeah, you got to trade Rhys Hoskins. That's the first move to make. And I still believe that that is the first move to make to fix this team. I don't think that's argued by people who understand what kind of mess this roster is. But just trading Rhys Hoskins isn't fixing the problem here. The problem that they have, it is deep-rooted. The Phillies' problems are way deeper than just, hey, you have a designated hitter playing third and first. The problems that the Phillies have is much deeper rooted than your bullpen isn't very good. The problems are your bullpen isn't very good and you can't fix it because you don't have your own talent to do it. So the only way you can fix the bullpen is to constantly keep throwing money at the problem. You know, it's like the rich family. They have the big house and they have the big car, but their kids really don't have any respect for anything. They are given everything. And when their kid complains, what does mommy and daddy do? They throw money at them. Here you go. That'll fix the problem. It doesn't fix the problem. It sometimes makes the problem worse. And then they become lousy adults, and then the cycle continues. The Phillies are the rich parents giving money to their kids constantly, and it's not working. The kids are now becoming adults, and they are doing the same thing, and their kids are jerks. That's the Phillies bullpen. Hey, you're a bad kid. Shut your mouth. You don't give me anything. Here's some money. Here you go. Go figure out what to do with it. That's how the Phillies keep trying to fix their bullpen. They just keep trying to throw money at their bratty kid. It doesn't work that way. That's not how you fix the bratty kid. You spend time with them. You do things with them. You take them fishing. You have a catch. You throw the football. Take a bike ride. Not just throw money at the problem. The Phillies, and if you look at what the Yankees are going through, these are two teams that have exorbitant payrolls and just keep throwing money at their problems. Now, the Yankees are 41-39, hardly what they expected, but certainly not World Series material at this stage of the season, I should say. The Phillies, who are right there with the Yankees in terms of payroll, are 37-41, and they're not getting any better. Why? Because they constantly have to play the role of the rich family throwing money at their kids. Why? Because they don't know how to be good parents. They don't know how to raise respectful kids on their own. The Phillies farm system is a mess. You cannot fix this bullpen issue that they have had for 2 seasons under Gabe Kapler, now 2 seasons under Joe Girardi. They cannot fix it until they get young power arms in their own organization. It's the only way they're going to fix this thing. Yeah, they might throw money at a cast-off who becomes a serviceable relief pitcher for a year. But that's not how you turn your franchise around. That's not how you build something. You might throw money at the bullpen one offseason and find a guy. Hey, here's some money, Jose Alvarado. Actually, they traded for Jose Alvarado. They threw some money at Archie Bradley. I mean, Archie Bradley, nice bullpen piece, but if you need him to be the bullpen piece, well, this is what you're getting. So the Phillies are the rich parent throwing money at their kids because they don't know how to raise them themselves. Who raised you? My babysitter. My parents were never around. That's essentially the Phillies organization right now. Who's raising this bullpen? Who's raising this farm system? Well, apparently the babysitters are running the scouting department. How did the Phillies do over the past week? Well, it allowed runs in the 7th and 8th innings to lose 2-1 in the first game of the doubleheader against the Mets. They then blew a 1-0 lead in the 7th in the second game. They won that game. They demoted their closer on that day and then asked him to close the game in the same day after the new closer blew a save. You can't make this up. The next day, they blew a game in which the Mets won 4-3 with 2 runs in the 9th. And on Monday, they led the Reds 4-2 and allowed 10 runs in the 7th and 8th innings combined. Somewhere, Joe Girardi saying, Mo Rivera, are you ready to unretire? Oh, that would be throwing money at the problem. The Phillies don't have an answer. You know it, and I know it. And that is why, as we reflect on things on 4th of July weekend, the All-Star Game rosters are being announced and all that good stuff, this team is in dire straits for a while. It is not going to be like, essentially, see, this is the fun part about the Phillies. The Phillies tanked. Nobody is split. There's no polarizing discussion. There's not the get off my lawners on one side and the new school level mindset of fans on the other. Why? the Phillies tanked, but they didn't market their tank. They didn't call it anything. They just sucked. They sucked on purpose, though. They didn't sign anybody. They didn't make a trade of any substance. They put lineups out there that certainly weren't good enough to win. And in return, they got the first overall pick in the draft. They took Mickey Moniak. They got guys like Adam Haseley. They got guys like Cornelius Randolph. The problem is their tank didn't work. After they won World Series, they, much like the Eagles, held on to the core a little too long. They thought the window was still there, so they went for it. And they went for it up till 2012, when finally the only players that the Phillies franchise have ever been able to draft, that group of guys, that's it. Once they finally got everything they could out of Jimmy Rollins and Cole Hamels and Chase Utley and Ryan Howard, once they squeeze all the blood out of that stone, they went back to being the Phillies. It's exactly who they've always been. You know, them winning 89 games and losing to the Rockies in the playoffs, that was success to them. It was some of the most success they ever had in 2007. In 2008, they won 92 games and won the freaking World Series. Are you kidding me? This is who the Phillies are. They went back to the World Series with 93 wins. They lost to the Yankees, but hey, this team's going to be good forever. They won 97 games. And then lost to the Giants in 2010. They won 102 games. And then they lost to the Cardinals in the division series. But they're always going to be the Phillies. This group is going to stay together forever. We don't have to run our organization the right way. 81 and 81. Well, Utley was hurt. Remember, he wasn't ready to play. They'll be fine. 73 and 89. Well, Charlie Manuel's fault. We got to fire him. Yeah, let's bring in Ryan Sandberg, see how that goes. 73 and 89. Well, Ryan Sandberg, he was kind of bristly. He didn't know. Yeah, he wasn't the right guy. 63 and 99. Well, maybe if we lose on purpose here, nobody will know. They're not paying attention to us anyway. 71 and 91. 66 and 96. This is who the Phillies are. They're a terrible organization. They've always been a terrible organization. It's that many of us are in an age bracket where they actually were the exception, not who they really were. So we can keep thinking that 2008 and 2009 and 2010 and 2011 is coming around pretty soon. But they've tried every way possible. They've lost on purpose. They've tried to win. And in the end, they are who they are. The worst franchise in professional sports. They currently sit with 11,000 losses. It's more than any other team in any other sport. And it's not getting any better anytime soon. It doesn't matter if it's Joe Girardi. It doesn't matter if Gabe Kapler, who is managing the best team in baseball, was still here. It doesn't matter if Charlie Manuel was back. It doesn't matter if they got Jim Fregosi to manage this team. Although I know Jim is not with us any longer, he'd probably do a pretty good job. They could pick any manager you want, and the buttons to press are all broken because this organization has no clue and no plan. Go back to 94. They went to the World Series in 93. Maybe they're turning things around. Nope. 54 and 61. Hey, the next year, they got some people from that World Series team. 69 and 75. 67 and 95. 68 and 94. 75 and 87. 77 and 85. 65 and 97. This is who the Phillies are. They're a terrible organization. So them having the night off, they needed it. It's about the only good thing, Reese Hoskins, that we could come up with is that they didn't play yesterday. So I'm looking over on July 4th and saying, 4th of July weekend, here we go. Let's take a look at this team. There is no light at the end of the tunnel. There is no hope for this team. And it shouldn't be a surprise because this is who the Phillies are, and it's who the Phillies have always been. Why does their bullpen stink? They have no one to replace them. They have no one in that organization. There is not a young arm. Even the young arms they do have, Spencer Howard, they don't know what to do with. It's like, hey, we got a shiny, fun toy. How can we ruin it? You want to be a good pitcher? Get out of Dodge. They have no idea what to do with Spencer Howard. When it's clear and evident, it's right there, right on the big screen. Hey, your bullpen is horrible. Here's a guy who has proven that he can get people out. He just can't do it over an elongated period of time. Why not try him in a different role? But the stubbornness and lack of just any awareness on what to do with this guy, they decide a team who's maybe they agree with me that they stink. Maybe internally they do agree and say, you know what, we're not very good. We don't think we can do anything this year, even though last night they didn't play and somehow gained a game in the division. Yesterday, this conversation, they were 5 out. Today, they didn't play. They're only 4.5. You're 4.5 out. Your bullpen's an atrocity. You have a young guy who's getting people out. I got an idea. Let's put him back in AAA. Instead, we'll bring Brandon Kinsler back with an 8.50 ERA. That ought to help us. The Phillies have been unable to draft. You talk about Howie Roseman and the draft the Eagles have had, and people complain about how bad the Eagles' draft choices have been. The Phillies are embarrassingly bad. You have had multiple tanking seasons, okay? Multiple tanking seasons. The Phillies had multiple tanking years where they had first-round picks. And all that they got, all that has come from the picks that they got in the last couple of years, Adam Haseley, Mickey Moniak, Cornelius Randolph, Aaron Nola, who's been pretty good, J.P. Crawford, who they already gave up on and traded, Mitch Guller, Shane Watson, Larry Green, those 3 guys are all out of baseball, Jesse Biddle, Zach Collier, Anthony Hewitt, Travis DeArnaud, Joe Savory. These are the guys that they drafted during the years when they weren't very good. Jesse Biddle made it to the majors, went to the Braves. I think he's out of baseball. J.P. Crawford was the number 1 prospect in all of baseball. He's now out with the Seattle Mariners, actually having a pretty good year. Cornelius Randolph had a nice run for about a month. Mickey Moniak, I think we know the answer to that question. J.P. Crawford was the 16th pick. Aaron Nola was 7th. Cornelius Randolph was 10th. Moniak was 1. Haseley was 8. Alec Boehm is 3. Bryson Stott is 14, and Mick Abel was 15. That is their group of high picks that they got due to the fact that they have been a bad baseball team. And of that group, Nola is the only one serviceable right now, and that includes Boehm, who I like a lot. But unfortunately, I can't include him in the list of serviceable big league players because you cannot play him at third base any longer. So as we reflect on the Phillies, and we'll talk more about it with Bob Wankel today at 4:40 for his weekly conversation on the Phils weekend as they get ready to play a Padres team who somehow put it together. How do you fix this? You have no in-house options in the bullpen, right? You have no in-house options basically in your outfield, and you are currently playing two outfielders who are on expiring contracts. You have no in-house option at first base unless you play Bohm there, and you have no in-house option at third base unless you keep Bohm there. We talk about the light at the end of the tunnel for this team. Wow. It appears to be in a galaxy far, far away. I'm Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. So we start there. Sports Bash brought to you by your Delaware Valley Acura dealers. For great deals on Acura's award-winning lineup, shop online at delvalacuradealers.com. A busy show today. Mike McGarry from the press, as always, on a Friday at 2:40. Susie Hunter, she is continuing her ballpark tour. I have no idea where she is right now. She was in Texas the last time we talked to her. We'll try to catch up at 3. We are previewing the AFC Central today with Andrew DeCecco. As I mentioned, Bob Wankel on the Phils. Happy Hour Friday with the PT. And Jeff Kerr is back for a little NFL conversation. Hey, today's the day to opt out for the season. Will Aaron Rodgers utilize that opt-out rule? He has till 4 o'clock today to decide.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? So you've got an oil change coming up? We'll help you find everything you need. Right now, you can get 5 quarts of Valvoline Max Life high mileage motor oil and an STP oil filter for just $28.99. And if you're an AutoZone Rewards member, you'll also get a $5 bonus reward. Get what you need fast and get the job done easier.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Start your job today at AutoZone.com. Restrictions apply.
Pop quiz. Can you guess how many lemons were harmed in the making of Loyal 9 vodka lemonades? 2, 4, 6? It doesn't matter as long as you remember Loyal 9 cocktails are made from real lemons. Please drink responsibly. Loyal 9 cocktails, vodka with natural flavors, 9% ABV, Diageo, New York, New York.
when life throws you uh-ohs, just say, better get Mako.
Head to Mako.com to book your appointment today.
All right, back here on a Sports Bash Friday, Happy Hour Friday here on the Sports Bash. It is very interesting when you think about this Phillies organization, what they're going to do with Dave Dombrowski, because Dombrowski was brought in here. Let's not make a mistake here. They're not bringing him in to tank. They're not bringing him in to rip this thing down. They brought him in here to build this thing up and win, which makes it even more frustrating because the mindset was, hey, Dave Dombrowski, let's hire him. We want to win. We want to win now. But, man, Dombrowski, I got to either shake your hand or wonder if you're crazy because this organization, if I looked at this farm system and they said, hey, fix this thing, I'd be like, are you kidding me? 609-403 0973 609-403-0973. That's the text board if you want to get involved there. Also, if you're watching the show live over on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, you can watch the show live and be a part of the live video stream, the chat over there, as we do throughout the show. I do want to make this clear. I do think that Dombrowski, I'm not ripping him. So I'm not sitting here saying that was the wrong hire. I'm not saying that he stinks. All I'm saying is he is in an unenvious situation right now. He is in a spot that I don't know that is fixable because you look at the bullpen situation, that's a disaster. You look at the spots on the field. Well, you have a 31-year-old second baseman. Your shortstop hasn't been able to play all, for the last month or so because of an elbow issue. Your third baseman can't field. Your first baseman struggles defensively as well. Not to mention he's not very good at the plate currently. Your left fielder is coming to the end of his illustrious career. Your center fielder hasn't played in 2 seasons, and yet he's the best option that you have. Your right fielder is being paid over $22 million for the next 10 seasons. So you are pretty much married to him. And your catcher is the highest paid catcher in baseball. Your starting rotation is pretty good. I mean, you got Aaron Nola. You've got Zach Wheeler. You've got Zach Eflin. That's pretty good. So you have a team that's kind of like a mismatch of where they are in their careers. And part of the problem is, Bohm has been a disappointment so far. Hoskins has been a major disappointment. That's 2 of your younger, lesser-paid guys. You had to sign Segura because you don't have any in-house options to play second base. You had to sign Didi because you don't have any in-house options to play that position. You brought in McCutchen because you don't have any in-house options to play that position. You had to go back to Herrera because your in-house options you had to play that position failed. So I'm not ripping Dave Dombrowski. I don't want you to take this like, man, he's really tough on that Dombrowski. No, I just don't envy his situation right now. We tried yesterday to find a way to fix it, and I think there is one way to start this thing. You got to move Hoskins and move Bohm over to first base. You can't keep playing Bohm at third base. Can't do it. Can't send that message to the rest of the team that it's okay. If you cannot field the ball at any level, you cannot be in the field. You just can't do it. You cannot, especially with a pitching staff that absolutely needs help. This pitching staff is not good enough that you can get by with average to poor defense. So, again, I'm not ripping Dombrowski. I just don't know how he's going to fix this thing. I just don't know where they go from here. Like if you said, and by the way, the lineup is out. Here you go. Herrera, Segura, Realmuto, Harper, McCutchen, Hoskins. Gregorius is back tonight. There's a story for you. Bohm and Wheeler. So Bohm is in the 8 hole tonight, by the way. Wow. This is probably one of the deeper lineups they've had all year. I mean, with DD back, they kind of snuck that in. Did I miss the DD back news? So Herrera in center, Segura at second, Realmuto catching, Harper in right, McCutchen in left, Hoskins at first, Gregorius at short, Bohm at third, and Wheeler's pitching. So Bohm has gone all the way down to the 8 hole. Gregorius back. Hoskins has dropped all the way down to the 6th spot. Good. That's where he belongs. McCutchen in the 5. I mean, he's been hot. It's not a great spot for him in the lineup. Harper in the 4 hole. Realmuto. Segura obviously has been their best. And then Herrera. So there you go. That's the lineup tonight for the Phils against the Padres. So again, I'm not sitting here blasting Dombrowski by any stretch of the imagination. Nick Maton, by the way, who somebody suggested yesterday would be the long-term answer at second base, has been optioned back to AAA. So I guess they don't have the same long-term vision for Maton as some of our listeners do today. That doesn't mean that they're right and you're wrong. I'm just saying that your views are not on the same page. But Maton has given them some, he has given them some big hits and a lift over the course of the season. I will say that Maton has been a surprise. No question about it. Nobody knew who the heck he was, and he came out of nowhere. He's had some big hits for them, including he had an RBI the other night against DeGrom. 609-403-0973. Text board, some more text messages coming in. Mike, I agree with you on the Phillies. How come the Marlins get pretty decent young players year after year, and although they trade them away due to philosophy, they get some outstanding talent? Are there players in the Phillies system and just don't get a chance? Shame on this GM and manager in regard to a closer. A lot to unpack on that one. How come the Marlins get pretty decent young players? They have a better scouting department. They have a better run organization. And you might say, why? How? Huh? What? They just don't draw. They don't have enough money coming in down there to keep high-priced players. If they had fans and the building was, the Phillies draw better than the Marlins do. The Marlins can't afford to pay their guys. They don't draw anybody. So they have to, they get young players, and once they get to a point where they have to pay them, they have to make the decision. So they have much better scouting decision makers. Are there Phillies players in the system that just don't get a chance? I don't think so. I mean, Spencer Howard was up. Boom, they brought right up. I don't really think they have anything. Bryson Stott is the next first-round pick. He'll be up probably next year. But I don't think there's players. Their AAA roster is hideous. Horrible. I mean, if they played in the South Shore League, they would probably be 500 with that AAA roster that they have out there. And the last part of your text, shame on this GM and manager in regard to a closer. I don't know what the manager is supposed to do. He doesn't sign the players. I mean, you might say he shouldn't be using Neris to close. Well, he pulled Neris as the closer, and the next guy blew a save. So shame on the manager. I don't think the manager's at fault for the closer. And quite frankly, the GM got here so late. What was he supposed to do? He brought in Archie Bradley. He got Alvarado. He brought Coonrod in. I mean, he did try, but that's the point I'm making. The Phillies are the rich parents throwing money at their kids because they don't know how to raise them. That doesn't usually go well. That just enables your kid to be a punk. The Phillies need to have a catch with their kid. They need to go for a walk or a bike ride with their kid, not throw money at their kid. The problem is they don't have any talent in their organization, and they haven't. They've been lousy parents. That's who the Phillies are. They're lousy parents. 609-403-0973. All right, Sports Bash Live. Mike McGarry's here on a Friday. He's got a must-win column out in regards to Joe Girardi, and it's a good one, and we'll get into it coming up here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Don't forget, download the free mobile app. It's free on your phone. You can listen to the show on the go. And Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City joins me next. All right, Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City is here as his must-win column is out on the Friday. He takes a closer look at Joe Girardi, who we love in this town, Mike, to say it's the manager's fault, it's the coach's fault, it's always their fault. It's never the players who are at number one fault. It's got to be them. But you wrote about, like, he knows the situations he's in. But I want to ask you, if he had a chance to reconsider this job, would he still find it to be an attractive job?
Well, that's a very good question. What I will say is I'm not going to try to read his mind. What I will say, though, is I don't think anybody who was at his introductory press conference in October of 2019 thought a year and a half into his tenure that he would, A, have a below 500 record, and B, he would be the subject of such ire and criticism from fans, and C, it looks like the road is leaning towards, what is Girardi's future here? Will he be a lame duck guy? He signed a 3-year contract with a club option for 2023. I don't think anybody envisioned the Joe Girardi era kind of working out the way it has so far.
Now, is this more that Girardi has lost the magic touch? He doesn't know what he's doing. He's a poor manager. Or is this more roster related?
To me, it's more roster related. I will say this, however, Joe Girardi, I think, has not been the difference maker that everybody thought he would be coming in, and he has made some peculiar moves. I mean, going out and forgetting he had made 2 trips out to see Wheeler earlier in the season, the lineup card snafu, and kind of an over-reliance, I think, on the double switch early in games. And then there's the bullpen, and although I do think that's roster related, I mean, it seems like every choice he makes in the bullpen, at least for the first year and a half, it seems like it's the wrong one.
Yeah, I know that the bullpen issues have been here, and this is a product, Mike. I kind of opened up today by saying I don't envy Dave Dombrowski. I'm not ripping him, but this is an organization that really they didn't do a marketable. They didn't brand their tank. But let's be honest, the Phillies were tanking for a bunch of seasons there. They just didn't brand it. They didn't call it anything. But during those years, they didn't get anything. And that's why they kind of are where they are. They have no help. They don't have anything to turn to. So they have to keep spending money to try to put out a serviceable team.
I agree 110% with that. I mean, I think, the way I say it is the rebuild needs a rebuild. The rebuild did not produce any young star players. And you look at the draft picks and all you see why. Mickey Moniak, miss. Adam Hazley, miss. Cornelius Randolph, miss. Scott Kingery, miss. Let's say I'll put Spencer Howard in the miss category for now, or at least options open. You can't miss on that many young players. If just a couple of those players, imagine if Moniak had developed into an above average major league player and was playing center field. Imagine if Kingery had been, an above average major league player and he was anchoring second base or shortstop. They missed on a lot of those guys, and it's causing problems because to me, when I look at the roster long range, I don't know how you fix it. I think, my NBA process fans would tell me the Phillies are where you don't want to be. They're a mediocre team. They're always going to be around 500 on the periphery of the playoff race with long-term issues that I don't know how you fix if you don't go backwards before you go forwards.
Yeah, I know the spot. I mean, basketball, there's only 5 players. So you have to figure out a way to get one of those upper tier guys. One of the way to do it is to try to get yourself high in that lottery. Baseball, it's always been thought of like the draft is almost an afterthought. But it's not anymore, right? The draft is helping teams. The draft is helping the Cubs. It helped the Astros. It's helped the Padres. It's helped the Blue Jays. These are the teams that are now winning because they were bad and now they're good.
Right. Well, you just named 2 teams right there, the Astros and the Cubs. Let's look at them. They went through rebuilds, right? The Phillies did the same thing. The Cubs came out of that rebuild with Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, Javier Baez. The Astros came out of that rebuild with Correa, Jose Altuve, George Springer, Alex Bregman. Where are those quality type players on the Phillies? The Phillies have nobody near that ability from their own system that they brought up. So, I mean, that's your big difference. you have to hit on those young players, and the Phillies did not do it, and it's left them in quite a bind. And it's a bind they recognize too, like John Middleton, right? When he hired Dombrowski, he said, our number one problem, the Phillies' number one problem since the beginning of time is, except for a couple of eras, they haven't been able to develop or pick young, talented players, and it has hurt them throughout their franchise history, and it's hurting them now, because what you're going to see, I think the rest of the season is 2 steps up, 1 step back, 1 step up, 2 steps back.
Yeah, I know. You wrote about this today. Mike's must-win column appears in Friday's editions of the Press of Atlantic City. You said that Girardi knows it's his job to win. Did he put himself on the proverbial hot seat?
Well, that's where I got the idea from the column the other night, when he said, he was kind of asked about the reliever and Neftali Feliz' performance. And he said, hey, this is a performance-based business and everybody's judged on wins and losses. He said, including me. And if I don't get the job done, I'm responsible, and changes are made. So he's kind of acknowledging that, hey, it's time to get it in gear here, that this team cannot continue down the path that it's been on his first year and a half. Now, whether that's completely his fault or not, who knows? I will say this again, I go back to it. He has not been the dynamic difference maker that a lot of people thought including me, thought he would be when he came in.
Yeah, it was a high-profile hire, as you write. He was 9-10 and 7-10. He won the World Series, but people forget too. He was the manager of the year when he was with Florida. Before that, with a team that didn't have a lot of talent, he was the National League manager of the year before he went to New York. So he had 2 good runs. So this isn't a guy who is regarded as some sort of fool, as many Phillies fans are making him out to be all of a sudden, Mike. So I guess the question goes to, has the game changed so much that a successful manager like Girardi isn't making the impact that he once made, or is the game changed so much that he can't make the same impact because what he did well is no longer the way the game is played?
No, I think he can still make an impact. I don't think the game has changed at all. I think a lot of these choices. I mean, let's face fact. It's the bullpen 110%. I mean, a few of these bullpen moves work out, and the Phillies have a few more wins. And, they're in the playoffs last year, and they're closer to first place this year. Don't forget, in 2017, Girardi's last year in New York with the Yankees, he might have done his best managing job with the Yankees during his Yankees tenure. He took a Yankees team that nobody had high hopes for. Remember, 2016, the Yankees traded all those guys. The Yankees, to my eternal, frustration, rebuilt in about 2 weeks. What it takes some teams to do in 5 years, the Yankees did it in 2 weeks. And he took a team to the 7th game of the American League Championship Series, where if Todd Frazier ball is an inch higher, the Yankees might be in the World Series. So Girardi hadn't certainly lost his fastball. He didn't get fired from New York or part ways with New York because he had lost his fastball. It's just he seems, I don't know, maybe it's the curse of Gabe Kapler or something, I don't know.
New York though, Mike, because they had a difference of philosophies, right? I mean, the game started to change a little bit.
Well, they thought he was too intense for some of the team's younger players, I think, and they wanted to bring in a guy like Aaron Boone. I'm not going to say a hold your hand type of guy, tell you everything's all right, but they thought Girardi might be a little bit too intense for some of the team's younger players. But when you come to Philadelphia, hey, this is the city that loves intensity, right? They love our coaches and managers to turn over buffet tables. They want to treat every game like the World Series. So now Philadelphia can't turn up their nose and say, hey, we don't like Girardi because he's too intense. Come on, folks, here. Work with me a little bit,
All right. Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City. Go check out his must-win column on Joe Girardi. It's a really good one over at thepressofatlanticcity.com. I don't envy Dombrowski, but do you like Dombrowski in terms of, hey, this is what we have, and this is the guy, and he's got the right buttons to push to fix it?
Yeah, I like Dombrowski as that guy. He's won everywhere he's been. Montreal Expos, Marlins, Detroit Tigers, Boston Red Sox. He's won everywhere he's been. I think he's the guy that I would trust to sort of turn it around here. I think he's got a big decision to make. Does he want to go backwards and rebuild a little bit? And that could mean trading some guys that are currently on the roster, or does he want to try to sort of patch it together while they try to rebuild the farm system? So to me, I'm a guy who I think you go backwards for a step or two, not 5 years. I think Dombrowski can do it in 2. I go back, remember 2006, they traded Abreu and Pat Gillick said, we're not going to contend for a while. Well, then you had the stretch from 7 to 11. So maybe Dombrowski can pull off the same thing here. But I think the current situation, adding a guy here, adding a guy there, is just not going to work. There's just too many questions out there.
A lot of that, Mike, was they had their own talent. They had Hamels, They had Utley, they had their own group of guys. That's where they are really lacking, is they don't have their own guys. And how do you get them?
Well, you get them by being bad and getting some high draft picks, correct?
Are you endorsing a process?
A mini version, a shortened process. I don't think it's got to take 5 years, and I don't think we've got to take Nerlens Noel to have this work, basically. But I do think the other thing you could do is you could make the process go quicker, right? By trading some guys like a Nola, maybe like a Wheeler, maybe like a Hoskins, trade those guys for some high-level prospects, some AA, AAA guys who can get here in a year or so and kind of help you. I think that's one thing they should look at.
Yeah, yesterday we had the listeners texting in. The first thing they have to do to take the step in the right direction is what?
Good question. What do they have to do first step? I think they've got to decide to go backwards before they go forwards. I think it's trading some of the guys and sort of biting the bullet on this season and probably next season and hoping that you can come back in, I guess it would be 2023, with a team that can really contend for the division. I think if you add in some prospects that can get up here, and then you can augment that with some big-time free agents, which I think, they obviously have the money to do, and they have some money coming off the books, like McCutcheon's contract is up at the end of the season, then I think you can do something here. I don't think it's got to be a total – Pittsburgh Pirates, we're going to wander in the desert for 20 years, tear it down in Houston for 5-6 years. But I do think you might have to sacrifice, the rest of this season and maybe next season to be back in a contending spot in 2023. Because what you did from 15 to now just hasn't worked.
Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City, his must-win column. Make sure you check that out on Joe Girardi. So every week it seems like almost every day, Mike, there's a new Ben Simmons something coming out. The new one today is Malcolm Brogdon and a first-round pick for Ben Simmons. Does Mike McGarry make that trade?
Absolutely not. I mean, that trade is ridiculous. I'm not trading. Again, I'm put in the position where I've got to defend Ben Simmons, right? You put me in this position on a daily basis. I am not trading Ben Simmons to Malcolm Brogdon under any circumstances whatsoever. That to me smacks of the Indiana Pacers saying, let's see how panicked the Sixers are. Maybe they'll panic into a bad deal. Here's the deal with the Sixers. With Ben Simmons, they can win 50 games in the regular season and get to an Eastern Conference semifinal and lose in Game 7. They can bring Simmons back and do that again next year. With Malcolm Brogdon, nice player, hurt a lot. Please. Good move by the Sixers passing on that one. I'm not trading Simmons for Malcolm Brogdon.
Yeah, that one, is interesting because Brogdon – he scored 20 a game. I couldn't believe that when I was like,
everybody in the NBA scored 20 a game this year. They had a record number of guys score 20 a game. Again, he's a nice player. I'm trading Simmons. I think he's got to go, but he's got to go for an elite NBA tight guard right now. Morey should be doing everything he can to talk to Portland and Dame Lillard, throw Maxey in, throw Thibault in, throw draft picks in, throw pick swaps in, throw second-round picks in, do whatever you have to do. Bring Dame Lillard to Philadelphia, but don't insult me and make me stand on a soapbox and defend Ben Simmons by telling me that Malcolm Brogdon is coming here for Ben Simmons. That's ridiculous.
I feel that's a new must-win column. Mike McGarry has to defend Ben Simmons.
Exactly. This is what it's come to. I'm now president of the Ben Simmons fan club.
Check out Mike's column at the Press of Atlantic City. Mike McGarry here on the Sports Bash. Well, enjoy the long weekend, man.
All right, you too, Mike. Happy 4th of July to everybody.
Same to you. And Mike McGarry here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. His must-win column, again, is must-read over at the Press of Atlantic City. This week on Joe Girardi's comments this week. Girardi put himself on the hot seat. Go check out the column. Thanks to Mike. All right, coming up. Susie Hunter has been road tripping around all over, all the ballparks. So we'll try to catch up with where she is now when she joins us next here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Don't forget, download the free mobile app, and you can get alerts sent right to your phone, like the Phillies news that just dropped a little while ago. Get it on our website, 973ESPN.com.
Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Now, live inside the Matt Black Kia Studios, here's Mike Gill.
All right, a Sports Bash Friday here on 97.3 ESPN. I'm Mike Gill. What's going on, everybody? We've been following Susie Hunter around. She's going to every ballpark, all 30 this summer. She's doing it for charity, and we've been helping her out all season long because, quite frankly, it's a great cause and it's a great idea. I love it. I wish I could just jump in the car. You're on ballpark 13 of 30, I believe, and we're going to find out since the last time we checked in with Susie where she is, where she's going, what this week was like. Because I think you were in deep in the heart of Texas last week. Where you went to Arlington, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Arlington and Houston. I got them both done this week. So yeah, I spent a lot of time in Texas.
All right. So, by the way, the last time we talked to you, her phone overheated, so we kind of lost what actually happened. But you were going to Arlington, and that's the home of the Rangers. Now, they have a new ballpark out there because I was at the old ballpark at Arlington, so this is already a new one because that one wasn't there very long. So, give us the deets on the new ballpark for the Texas. I don't know what it's called out there.
Oh my gosh, it's incredible. It is. I've never seen a ballpark like this. It is next level stuff. But I was lucky enough to get a tour, so I saw, what all the different suites look like, and there's a lot of personality in there. But there is just so much thought that went into every aspect of that ballpark. I could nerd out and talk about all the little things forever. I don't know how much you want to hear, but it's so cool. And if you have the chance to get out there this season, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I have actually been to Arlington. I was at the old ballpark. Now, you were saying what to do out there. Did you get to check out Billy Bob's while you were out there?
I did not. I did not have too much time while I was in Arlington, unfortunately.
Oh, Billy Bob's is the greatest. This place is the Mecca. I mean, it's funny because you asked about Texas or what to do, and somebody had a Billy Bob's T-shirt on as I was going through my Twitter timeline. I'm like, Billy Bob's, I was there when I was in Arlington. That place is epic. The night I was there, Hootie and the Blowfish played at this place. It's wild. It's like a random, kind of like an arcade with a concert venue and a place where they do bull riding.
That's insane. That's insane.
It is. So you get to Texas. Now, you went there from Tampa, correct?
Correct. Yeah, that was a very long drive.
Don't recommend it.
I do not recommend. Break it up into maybe 3 parts. I only broke it up into 2 parts, but it was 2 really long days of driving. The last leg was just a 13-hour day. So I've kind of been calling this trip driving with a side of baseball. I've been in my car so much.
All right, Susie Hunter's with us now. Again, she is road tripping to every Major League Baseball park for charity. Tell the people out there how they can help out and the charity aspect of this, because you're not just having fun, as you said, driving around. There is a reason why you're doing this.
Correct. So I am raising $30,000 for the Boys and Girls Clubs of America. And I'm trying to hit some of them up along the way as I'm traveling. But coming up, we can talk about this maybe more next week because I'll know a little more about what it'll look like. But they are doing so much around the All-Star game. I'm actually on my way to Denver right now. I'll be here for a little bit, actually, so that'll be kind of nice. But the goal is to raise $30,000 for them. I'm going to be showcasing what they're doing as I'm traveling throughout the country. But if you want to donate, you can find the link on my social media at The Susie Hunter, or you can go to thesusiehunter.com/MLB-road-trip. And that's a landing page for all of the links you need and a little bit of backstory if you want to see that too.
All right. So you obviously just told us you were in Arlington. You saw the Texas Rangers, and then you head. Now, how far is it from Arlington, Dallas to get to Houston?
It's about 4 hours. Yeah. So that wasn't too bad of a drive.
So you go from Arlington to Houston. Now, Houston seems like a really cool ballpark. When you just, I've never been to that one. So give us a little info, a little insight on Minute Maid Park?
Correct. Yeah. So that park is also so cool. It's just massive. This trip in general has been my first time seeing these parks that have roofs. I just haven't been to any of these yet, but it's so cool. It's just massive. There's so much food. Probably the most nacho stands I've seen at a ballpark were in Houston. So I really appreciated that.
That's your forte too, right? You're like
That's
the nacho aficionado.
correct. Yeah, so that was really fun to see. But yeah, that park is absolutely spectacular. There's a train. I had no idea about the train. I've never noticed it on TV before, but it comes out when the Astros take the field for the first time, and then it comes out when someone hits a home run. But it's just a cool thing. There's like a lot of cool little things going on in there. But I was lucky enough to get a tour there too, so I just feel like I know so much about the history of the Astros now.
Now, have teams started to kind of catch on that you're doing this, that you're getting these tours? Like, how are you getting all these like bonus little tours here?
So thankfully, I knew someone who worked for the Rangers. So I was able to connect with them and get a tour. And then he had also worked with the Astros, so I was able to connect with them that way. But yeah, I've been reaching out to teams, and some of them still aren't doing tours. So I've just been reaching out to them along the way, trying to coordinate stuff. But it's been tough because of COVID, of course. And some of them just aren't doing them yet.
All right, Susie Hunter's with us, thesusiehunter.com. Follow her on Twitter. So you were at ballpark 13 of 30. So you did 2 last week. You snuck in 2 last week. So you said you're going to Denver, so you're going from Houston to Colorado now?
Correct. Yeah. So I'll be around here for a couple of weeks around the All-Star break. So yeah, my travel updates won't be as exciting, but I definitely still have stuff to talk about because I'll get the chance to do more stuff with the Boys and Girls Club in the next coming week. So that'll be exciting.
Well, so this is what I wanted to ask you last week before you kind of overheated. So
yeah,
it appears then you're going from the bottom, so you're going out to Denver, and then are you going up the west before you go back through the Midwest, or are you jetting back up that way?
I'm gonna head towards the Midwest after this.
So you're going to like the Kansas Cities, the St. Louis's, the Minnesotas, Chicago's, boom, boom, and then out to the West Coast. Because what I wanted to know, I said, so this is awesome. You're doing the whole ballpark. I actually so I used to do all the ballparks. We went one a year, every year. So a friend of mine who used to be on the trip said he's been listening to this segment, and he's like, this is unbelievable. She's doing all 30 in 1 year. I said, I guess, oh yeah, she's doing all 30. So what is the planned ending of this trip? Are you going like all the way through September? Do you know when your last stop is?
Yeah, so right now my last stop will be towards the end of September. So that gives me a little bit of wiggle room too, just in case anything happens where I'm visiting a team and like, let's say like both games that I plan to go to get rained out. Like I could potentially fly there if I miss a park, or if Toronto opens back up, I would potentially have like a little bit of time to maybe fly there. So I have like a little bit of time, but it's basically going to take me until the end of the season.
Gotcha. So what I wanted to know then was, are you planning on having to drive all the way back home when it's all done? Do you have a plan for that drive, or is it just you're going to drive back home and that's it? Like I said, you do this, and then on the way home, you're starting to hit like basketball and football stadiums.
Oh my gosh, no, I do not have a plan. This is enough to kind of handle right now. The magnitude of this trip is really it's enormous. So
Yeah.
I have no plan for the end of September. I don't know what my life is going to look like, but yeah, I will drive my car back home.
That's awesome. So last week we talked, you were in Florida, you did a Marlins game, you were in Atlanta Friday, you did the Marlins game, you did the Rays game. So this week, Arlington and Houston. Did you have a favorite of those 5?
Ooh, great question. Oh my gosh, how do I possibly pick a favorite? I know
I know it's not Tampa.
It was, you know what? I thought I was going to hate Tampa because everyone's like, it's the worst park. But like, I went with people who had been like season ticket holders for a really long time. So like, I kind of saw like what they love about it through there. So I did not even hate Tampa, but everyone said I would hate it. I liked Globe Life. I liked the brand new ballpark. And I think that a lot of the features we see there are what we're going to see in ballparks moving forward. It's a masterpiece.
Really? So that Globe Life is, I'm imagining, that's the new Rangers.
That's in Arlington.
Gotcha. So overall, Now, most of these places, like as you said, like you met friends in Miami, you met friends in. Do you know someone in almost all of these towns that you're able to kind of go to these games with someone that you know?
Almost every city I know someone, I feel like. So it's pretty cool. I don't always go to the game with someone because, people have lives and schedules, but I actually also enjoy going to a game by myself. But most of these cities, I know people. So it's really cool to, at the very least, meet up.
So you had Miami, you were on the Jumbotron, right?
Mhm.
Philly, you got on television. You were dancing on NBC Sports Philadelphia. Any other brushes? And you also said you've ran into some famous people. You're notorious for running into people and not knowing who they are. Have you had any brushes with these people during the last week here?
No, I have not had any celeb mishaps, but we'll see what happens during All-Star Week because that could be really interesting.
Yeah, and I guess you kind of somewhat lucked out that the All-Star game got moved to Denver.
I probably would have done my trip a little differently if it was still in Atlanta. I probably would have, because I definitely aimed to be in Colorado around the All-Star game.
Gotcha. All right, Susie Hunter, tell us one more time for the listeners out there where they can find your stuff and the pictures. You can see all the ballparks. She takes a picture at each ballpark. She's got the ball to prove that she was there. When we were kids, we used to get like the little ice cream helmet of the ballpark. You're going with the ball with the logo. But 13 of the 30, everybody can check her out and how to help donate.
Yeah, so you can find the links on my social media at the Susie Hunter. And there's a landing page for everything you need to know about this trip and the fundraiser at thesusiehunter.com/MLB-road-trip. And you can donate there. I'm raising $30K for the Boys and Girls Clubs of America. It's a great cause, so I hope you guys donate.
So at the end of this, as you go to Susie Hunter's Twitter page, it says that she's the ballpark food expert. Will you be writing a book on the top ballpark foods at each ballpark?
I don't think that'll be this year. I would love to write a book about this amazing experience, but also keep in mind my food stuff. I have a partner in that. My partner Amanda, who does Nacho Scout with me, she's not on this trip. I'm not going to leave her out like that.
Well,
What
it sounds like you could, like, hey, I visited every ballpark. Like, I love the whole, like, hey, if I go to this ballpark, if I go there once, what should I eat if I go there? I don't want just go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No. But you know what? When I started the trip, concession stands weren't open at full capacity. So that's not fair because I didn't get the best food experiences early in the trip. So
True.
It's not fair to also do it this season because a lot of these teams, the priority is not the over-the-top food. It was safety and being able to adjust to COVID. So again, another season, but I am finding some great food. So I'm very inspired.
Where are you what state are you in currently?
I am in Colorado right now.
Oh, so you're already there.
Yeah, I'm not quite in Denver yet, but I'm in Colorado.
Gotcha. So it's All-Star festivities all the next couple of weeks for you. A little break from visiting the ballparks. You're hanging out in Denver. You're already there. Boom. All right. Well, we got lousy weather here. It's been raining like nonstop, so you're not missing out on that. And we're all very envious and jealous of your summer. Susie Hunter, thesusiehunter.com, and on Twitter. You can check it all out. You can donate to the Boys and Girls Club, and we will continue to check in all summer because I love the idea. It's such a great cause, and we thank you so much. Stay safe driving, Susie.
Oh, Mike, thank you so much for having me on.
All right, there's Susie Hunter again. And, of course, you can check her out on thesusiehunter.com and her social media stuff for all the latest on her ballpark trip on this summer. And she's in Denver, man. She's in Colorado for the All-Star game. And when we come back, I'll tell you the All-Star lineups. You can hear them. No Phillies, but one Philly will have to represent the team. Who will that be? I'll give you my pick coming up next here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. It's brought to you by your Delaware Valley Acura dealers. For great deals on Acura's award-winning lineup, shop online at DelValAcuraDealers.com. The All-Star lineups are set, and again, one Philly has to make it. I think it's pretty obvious on who it will be, but I'll tell you who it should be next.
Hello, this is Commissioner Len Desiderio. The Cape May County Commissioners want to say thank you to the people of Cape May County. You have done the hard work to slow the spread of COVID, but it's not over yet. If you want to be protected, please get vaccinated. Tens of thousands of Cape May County residents have already gotten the vaccine. Together, we are creating a safe and prosperous future for our businesses and families. Anyone 18 or over can go to the county vaccine clinic. Many of our pharmacies and grocery stores are vaccinating people 16 and over. Go to CapeMayCountyNJ.gov to find out how easy it is to get vaccinated. You can walk right in, no appointment necessary. Now is the time for everyone in Cape May County to finish strong, safely together.
In this ad for Lowell 9 Cocktails, I'll say Lowell 9 Cocktails 5 times. Why will I say Lowell 9 Cocktails 5 times? Because I want you to remember Lowell 9 Cocktails at the liquor store this weekend. Please drink responsibly. Lowell 9 Cocktails. Vodka with natural flavors, 9% ABV, Diageo, New York, New York.
So in life throws you uh-ohs, just say, better get Mako.
Head to Mako.com to book your appointment today.
All right, Sports Bash 97.3 ESPN. The All-Star game lineups are set. The Phillies do not have a starter, so they have nobody representing them yet, but they will have one. It will likely be Zach Wheeler, right? That's who it will be. That's who it should be. One other guy that you could say deserves to make the team is probably Gene Segura. I don't know if because of the injury he won't get in, but he's been one of the best hitters in baseball when healthy. But Zach Wheeler has definitively been one of the best pitchers in baseball. Had it not been for the historic first half for Jacob deGrom, you could make an argument that Zach Wheeler should be starting the All-Star game. He's been that good. He will be the Phillies representative. He might be the Phillies lone representative. I don't know that Segura gets in. And other than Segura, I don't know who else would even push the pile to get into the All-Star game. I guess one other guy you could think of would be Bryce Harper. He is having a pretty solid season. But I wouldn't say that he is definitively going to be an all-star. So the Major League Baseball all-star game, the schedule, the lineups are set for the starters. They have not announced the reserves yet, but they'll be doing that. I guess they're going to have the vote. They do typically for the last spot on the team. So you'll have that. And let's see, the lineup today. I don't know if they have the lineup. I think they have the players. So it's Freddie Freeman at first, Adam Frazier at second, Fernando Tatis at short, Nolan Arenado at third, Buster Posey is catching, Ronald Acuna is in the outfield with Nick Castellanos and Jesse Winker, from the Cincinnati Reds. The American League, it is Vlad Guerrero, Marcus Semien, Xander Bogaerts, Rafael Devers, Salvador Perez, Mike Trout, who was injured for most of the season, most likely not going to be playing in the game. I would imagine he's not. Aaron Judge, Hernandez, and Ohtani. There you go. So Ohtani's the DH. I would imagine he could also pitch in the game if need be. He's having that type of season where he probably could make it from both aspects. So there you go. Now the Phillies player we mentioned, it should be Zach Wheeler would be the guy that would be representing them. And quite frankly, they don't have another guy. I don't think they have another player on the team that will make it. Now the one guy, as we mentioned, is Gene Segura, who I don't know. I got to look this up. Does Gene Segura have enough at-bats to be currently to be considered for the batting leaders in Major League Baseball? I don't know. He missed a decent amount of time. He only missed about 10 games or 2 weeks, something like that. But currently in the National League, Segura is, let's see, I'm imagining, I don't see him. So I'm imagining that he does not have enough at-bats to qualify. Do you know that Bryce Harper hitting 275 is 13th best in baseball? That's how bad batting averages are in baseball now. That he's hitting 275 and he is the 13th best guy currently in all of baseball. That is like the state of baseball in a nutshell. So I guess that Segura does not have enough to qualify to make it. So Castellanos is hitting 346, Frazier 326. They've all made it. Winker is 322. He made it. Trey Turner 318. Brian Reynolds 312. Fernando Tatis 299. Tatis is hitting 299 with 26 homers. And how about this whole Bryce Harper? Everybody's throwing the stats about Bryce Harper with solo home runs. Is this like supposed to be a knock on Bryce Harper that all of these home runs that he has hit have been solo home runs? What is he supposed to do? You can't put guys on base for him. And if anybody has any clue about baseball, you're going to pitch him differently with runners on base than you are with runners not on base. Like, okay, I'm not going to groove you something when there's two runners on. You're not getting the same pitches when there's runners on base. Like, people are kind of acting like, well, Harper's only hitting home runs when there's nobody on, so he stinks. Well, he can't control the guys getting on base in front of him. That's number one. Number two, you're not pitching him the same with runners on base. You don't want him to hit a 3-run bomb. You don't want him to hit a 2-run bomb. So he's not getting the same stuff. I keep reading all this stuff about, last night it was like going on, because he hit 2 solo homers, I think, the other night. And everybody's going like crazy about the fact that, Harper only hits solo home runs. Well, you put some runners on base in front of him, maybe he'll have a couple extra home runs. If you notice, the Phillies leadoff guys have not been very good this year. And Rhys Hoskins, as the number 2 hole hitter, is getting on base. He was early in the season the number 2 hole hitter, but he's only getting on base about 29% of the time. He hasn't done much in that spot. So he has not been giving much of an opportunity to really, do a lot there in the I guess the multi-RBI home run role, if you will. Is it frustrating? Sure. Get more guys on base. Probably Harper hits some more home runs. Look, Harper, to me, has had a pretty solid season. I can't really sit here and rip what Bryce Harper's doing. At 275, he's got 13 homers. The 23 RBIs is the number that is kind of low for what Bryce Harper's doing. That is where you can certainly say, well, he hasn't driven in a lot of runs. Well, he doesn't get a lot of run opportunities, but they only have 10 extra RBIs after the 13 home runs that he has. That is kind of bizarre. It's more bizarre, I think, than it is like, hey, you stink, you're not clutch. Nah, Bryce Harper, look, the Phillies have a lot of problems. I don't know that Bryce Harper's at the top of the list of the issues that this team has, but he's regarded as the best player, I guess, on the team. So I guess you can kind of, include him into why this team struggles. But, does Mike Trout stink because the Angels aren't very good? No. That's baseball is just a tough sport where the best player on the team doesn't really dictate what kind of team you're going to end up having. I mean, in the long term, Bryce Harper, you might start to say 3, 4, 5. I mean, he's 28 years old, Bryce Harper. And I was thinking about this today when the All-Star lineups came out. There's a lot of guys in this lineup that I'm sure there's a lot of people out there listening who have no idea who some of these guys even are. Like, has anybody heard of Jesse Winker from the Cincinnati Reds? Probably not. But he's an All-Star game starter. But, Bryce Harper has been around baseball for so long because he entered the league at such a young age. Is he, getting phased out of, I don't want to say relevancy because he's still Bryce Harper. He has a big name. But is he not, the impact star that he once was? Jaleel Okafor was drafted by the Sixers with the 3rd pick. He was considered to be maybe the number 1 overall pick. And when the Sixers took him at number 3, it was soon after that the league really phased that player out. So I'm not saying they're going to phase Bryce Harper out, but Okafor went from one of the most recognizable basketball figures from his high school career, number 1 overall player, entered the college ranks, and then goes to Duke. He's a freshman. They win a national title. And then he's the 3rd pick in the draft. And then he has a pretty solid numeric rookie season. If you remember, he did have a pretty good year as a rookie for the Sixers. I think he scored 17 points a game. He wasn't some stiff bust where he was like Anthony Bennett scoring 5 points. He did actually provide offense for the Sixers. The problem was the type of offense. Is Bryce Harper kind of becoming losing his relevancy as a name brand figure? The Phillies have this Bryce Harper. He's the star of pre-2020. And now you're crossing over into the 20s and these new stars of this baseball game are starting to emerge, which is now making Bryce Harper kind of feel old almost, right? He's been the young guy for so long. It's like when Ken Griffey Jr. finally began to feel old. It was like, man, he was the kid. And I just remember him smiling with the Mariners. And then when he went to the Cincinnati Reds, Ken Griffey Jr. kind of felt old when he got to the Reds. When Ken Griffey Jr. ended up getting to the Cincinnati Reds, by that time, he had played in Seattle. My God, his whole career. He was out in Seattle. And then all of a sudden he goes to the Reds. He was in Seattle for 13 years. And then he goes to Cincinnati. He played 9 years in Cincinnati. But by the time he got to Cincinnati, he had already been in the league for 13 years. That's pretty crazy to think about. So he gets to Cincinnati, and by that time, he's already 30 years old. And that's what I'm talking about. So when Ken Griffey Jr. got to Cincinnati, he was 30 years old. And I would say that he certainly was not the same player. He was never the same player in Cincinnati. He had one pretty good, 1, 2, 3. He had 3 really good seasons in Cincinnati. His first season in Cincinnati, 271, 40 homers. He had a season in Cincinnati where he was 301, 35 homers. He did that in 128 games, by the way. I mean, he was an unbelievable player. But Ken Griffey Jr. in Cincinnati never felt like Ken Griffey Jr. in Seattle. Agree? Like, he just felt like the older guy. Yeah, like he was the kid. He was the young guy. He was the number 1 overall pick in the draft. Very similar to Bryce Harper, by the way. The young guy. He was in the league early. I mean, Ken Griffey got to Seattle when he was 19. I think Bryce Harper got up when he was 19 with Washington. He was the number 1 overall pick in the draft. And then he bursts on the scene. He wins an MVP. You know, Ken Griffey Jr. only won 1 MVP, by the way. He had 56 homers, 304, 147 RBI. I mean, he had a monster year, and he had a bunch of – in Seattle, he was just – I mean, he had 56 homers 2 years in a row. He had 49, 56, 56, 48 before he finally went. But he only won 1 MVP playing in Seattle. Pretty crazy. But I think there's a lot of parallels to Griffey and Bryce Harper. And somebody, Jeff Bone, is watching on YouTube. He said it was weird seeing Griffey in that Reds uniform. It was. And it's not weird seeing Harper in the Phillies uniform, I guess, because it's been 3 years now. And the Washington uniform, it's not like this historical franchise. He went to a team that was basically starting from scratch. I don't want to say starting from scratch. They were the Expos, but they were a mess when they went there. And, the Nationals weren't very good for a while, and then they had the number 1 pick that turned out to be Harper. They had to pick again. They got Strasburg, and they kind of started to turn things around. But when reading the Bryce Harper contract the other day, we were talking about on the show, I guess, yesterday, he's got 10 years left, paying him all sorts of crazy money. 26 million. I take that back. They strategically did a good job of putting that together, where he's not getting paid $40 million. That was the part about that whole contract that was, solid. Like, they did a good job putting that together. 609-403-0973. 609-403-0973. Speaking of the Phillies, by the way, they are back at full strength. Their lineup, their opening day lineup, is back to full strength for the first time since Mother's Day, that they have had their lineup intact the way that it was supposed to be. So you can make an argument that some of the problems that this team has had has been injury related. That is kind of fair. They have not had Didi. They missed Segura. They have had all sorts of problems injury related for most of the year. Since Mother's Day, you're going back to May, that they have not had their opening day lineup together, which has really, think about this. The Phillies have had to play how many games with Nick Maton, how many games with Ronald Torreyes, how many games with Travis Drankowski and Luke Williams. They've had to play a lot of games with multiple players like that in their lineup. It's akin to the Eagles needing to play 4 different offensive linemen throughout the course of their season. Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. I'm Mike Gill. Don't forget football at 4 today. Andrew DeCecco will talk a little NFC North. I said Central earlier. There is no Central anymore. But these are the teams that should be in the Central and were in the Central. So we'll talk about the Central teams, the North teams, I should say, with Andrew coming up in 25 minutes. Don't forget, Monday's show, it's the state of the teams. Bob Wankel on the Phillies, Jeff Mosher on the Eagles, Paul Hudrick on the Sixers, and, of course, we're going to take the ballpark tour with Susie Hunter. I'm Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN, the free mobile app. Download it at 973ESPN.com/app.
Hi, it's Pete from Chickies and Pete's wishing you a safe summer. Stop and see us on the Ocean City, Wildwood, or Atlantic City boardwalks, or off Exit 9 of the AC Expressway in Egg Harbor all summer long. Join our team. We are hiring at all locations. Click chickiesandpete's.com/careers. Hi, it's Pete from Chickies and Pete's wishing you a safe summer. Stop and see us on the Ocean City, Wildwood, or Atlantic City boardwalks, or off Exit 9 of the AC Expressway in Egg Harbor all summer long. Join our team. We are hiring at all locations. Click chickiesandpete's.com/careers.
Date night at the movies.
I got popcorn.
Shh. Sorry.
And some candy.
Getting back to the moments we miss
Shush.
starts with getting informed. Get the latest info about COVID-19 vaccines at getvaccineanswers.org. It's up to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ziprecruiter.com/free. That's ziprecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
All right, 3:40 on a Sports Bash Friday. Happy Hour Friday on 4th of July weekend. So, we like to keep things a little light on the 4th of July weekend stuff. Monday, we've got a full State of the Team show for you. Monday, I'll be talking with Bob Wankel on the Phillies. He'll join me today for the weekend series with the Padres. We'll dive into this series a little bit more and some of the problems from the last week. But he'll be here on Monday to take a look at the state of the teams. And then at 3 o'clock, it will be Paul Hudrick on this. So the first hour will be Phillies. We'll do Phillies for the first hour. Second hour, we'll do Sixers with Paul Hudrick. And then in the third hour, we will do Jeff Mosher with a State of the Eagles. And in the 5 o'clock hour, we will be checking in on the Susie Hunter baseball tour around the country, right? And then right now, my guy from West Virginia, Crossing Broad, Kevin Kincaid's going to jump on. By the way, speaking of which, I just got a great alert there, Josh, on my phone. I sold a pair of WVU sideline player speed vent navy shorts. Yeah, how about that? I just got that alert. Kincaid will like that. So on the 4th of July, we try to keep it light. We try to have a little fun. Kevin Kincaid over at Crossing Broad, he's kind of like now in the radio world, he writes a lot of the Radio Wars columns and a lot of the media stuff. And he covers the Sixers and, a lot of other things. But he also is known for his random Mount Rushmore stuff, which in the radio world, a lot of people are always very critical of the host who brings up the Mount Rushmore stuff, as if hey, you get nothing to talk about, so you're doing a Mount Rushmore stuff. Some people have fun with it. Some people find it to be a lack of creativity. He has kind of made it kind of like a fun joke now of just the Mount Rushmores of whatever it may be. Jersey Shore pizza, all of that stuff. So I figured on the 4th of July, there was only one man that we could ask about all of these questions. He's he's kind of make the Mount Rushmore his thing, which in our business, the Mount Rushmore is highly frowned upon, right? So you have found a way to take that frown and turn it upside down.
Well, I'm glad you're able to have a laugh about it. Yeah, some people take it the wrong way, but it's all in good fun, right?
I said it's very apropos as you're on the show, a WVU grad, a fine one, by the way, that I just got a message from Poshmark that one of my WVU pair of shorts just sold.
Now, what happened with this? What happened with Poshmark?
I had a pair of shorts that I am selling. They are WVU shorts. They are weight. I had recently have dropped a bunch of weight, and these shorts are now too big on me, and somebody has purchased them. So my WVU shorts are now finding a new home.
Okay, well, there you go. I was going to ask why you were selling them in the first place, but that's legitimate, right? If you lost weight and you can't wear them anymore, that's fine. I have to say I added the COVID 15 pounds, but I'm not sure how much of that is the pandemic. I'm not sure how much of that is having a 2-year-old. Could very well be a combination of both of those things.
You look good, though. So Kevin Kincaid from Crossing Broad, if you follow him, he will do the, I would say, the somewhat snarky Mount Rushmores. Is that fair?
Yeah, but I hope that people learn something at the same time. We did the Mount Rushmore of Philadelphia Flyers who are not from North America, right? So we went down a rabbit hole there. I had to go deep to pull some names out of that one. But hey, if you can have a laugh, but you can learn something at the same time, then that's all I can ask for,
Yeah. Now I remember recently, I guess it was a year or two ago, that you did how you don't like to eat pizza on the boardwalk, right?
Yeah.
Too hot. So I'm wondering if you could randomly do a Mount Rushmore of the best places to get pizza that you don't want to eat while you're on the boardwalk.
Well, I don't know if I'd do that on your show because you might have a bunch of people angrily change the channel on me or something like that. But that was less of a Jersey Shore take and more of a, if it's 95 degrees like this week and I'm sitting on the beach and I'm already hot and sweaty, do I really want to go up and get a hot slice of pizza? So it was more of a overall feeling kind of thing, unless about an individual, taste.
Although it's not going to be 95, it's supposed to rain all weekend, which is great for the pizza store.
Yeah, there you go. Well, second holiday weekend, and Memorial Day weekend. I don't know about you, but I think the heat kicked on in my house. So that was, we're due for a good one around here, But what can you say?
Yeah, I know. So a lot of other stuff. All right. So I wanted to get the best answers that you got for the Mount Rushmore of the random white dudes who beat Philly sports teams. What were some of the best answers that you got for that one?
Who did we go? Okay, so it was recency bias that influenced the decision to do it in the first place. So we went with Kevin Herter. What do you have? 27 points in Game 7, I believe. That was it for sure. Yeah. So he went on there. He was Thomas Jefferson. We had Joe Juravicius. He was on there. Okay, we still remember Joe Juravicius running down. I see it in my nightmares. I still see him streaking down the field at Lincoln Financial Field. By the way, I think people forget that play took place in the first quarter. But the Eagles went up
early in the game, yes, and he just kept running, and no one could catch random white guy.
Yeah, they went up 10-7 on that, and then that was it, right? Because I think the Eagles lost 27-7 or 30-7, so that was nightmare fuel. Another guy was Ruslan Fedotenko. Remember him? Yeah. Tampa Bay Lightning, Philadelphia Flyers, 2004. Believe it or not, I think he had 6 goals in that series, which was crazy because he was a Philadelphia Flyer for the 2 seasons prior. And he was a, tweener, second liner, third liner kind of guy. And he showed up big time in that series on a team that was, that Lightning team was dominated by like Vinny Lecavalier and 40-year-old Dave Andrechuk and Martin St. Louis. I'm going deep into the memory here. And, but yeah, Fedotenko had 6 goals in that series. Then a final person, I think, in that one, who ended up on our Mount Rushmore of random white guys who have absolutely killed Philadelphia sports teams over the years. I think it was Cody Ross. Cody Ross from the San Francisco Giants, who did absolutely nothing, for the first whatever games that year. I think they put in a waiver claim on him just to keep him from going to the Padres, was the story. And then, of course,
that's right.
The rest is history, as they say.
So the other day you said that you wanted the Mount Rushmore of your mall stores, right? Wall, right? I used to work at the Wall. So one summer of 98, I was interning up in Philly at a radio station, and I lived on my friend's couch in his basement. So I interned because he lived in King of Prussia. So I drove from his house to Center City. I did my internship from 10 to 3 every day, got in my car, went to the King of Prussia Mall, and I worked at the Wall. Mm-hmm. And I loved it because I got to control all the music. I got to play the CDs. And like the Wall was the great, like the blue sticker, all that stuff. The Wall made your list of the mall stores on the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, the Wall, we solicited feedback from people. I think my Mount Rushmore was the Wall. Electronics Boutique was on there. I think I had Sam Goody, which was another music store. See, my frame of reference was the Coventry Mall, way up there on Route 100, 422 in Pottstown. Well, technically it was Coventry, but it was Pottstown. And we had the Wall, we had Sam Goody, we had Schuylkill Valley Sporting Goods, which was like the Berks County, Chester County, Montcalm version of Modell's, right? So we had that up there. A lot of people said Spencer's was the top one.
Is located, the headquarters are here in Egg Harbor Township.
Oh, really? So it's a local. So Spencer's is local. Well, there you go. If I knew that, I would have put them on the list, So that was a good one. Yeah, the Wall was great because you had the little stickers, right? And if you broke your CD or whatever, you just put it right on there. They give you a replacement. I knew some people who cheated, and they would just keep the sticker to themselves. And if they broke any CD, whether they got it from the Wall or not, they would just slap that thing on there and take it and get it replaced. So it's a little depressing when you go in now to like an FYE or something like that. The only CDs you find are in like the very back corner, and they're all $5.99, and half of them are used, and everything else is, anime and whatever the kids are into now. But I find comfort in the old suburban shopping mall.
I don't know though that I could like the mall. I haven't been in the mall here in so long, but I feel like, and this could only be this location, like this mall, that actual mall stores are now no longer mall stores. They're just gone, and it's like the mall is now being infiltrated by like Kincaid's, like coats.
It's true. You get a lot more different stuff. It used to be stuff that was like specific to the mall itself, right? You would always find like a Spencer's, you'd always find like a Habitat or like a Hot Topic or something like that, right? Like I don't think those stores went elsewhere, right? You found them like exclusively at the mall, but yeah, now you see,
I never saw a standalone Spencer's.
No, right. That's true. And it reminds me in a way, it's kind of like a reverse. Well, it's kind of like South Street in a way. South Street in Philadelphia never used to have like a Dairy Queen or a Starbucks or things like that on. It was always independent things. And now, as they look to just get anything in there at all, they'll sort of take whatever they can get. My local mall now is the Montgomery Mall, which inspired the story and the question in the first place, because I go over there if I'm like on the road and I need the Wi-Fi or something. I can get on like the Chick-fil-A food court Wi-Fi, right? So that's the life of sports writer on the road. You know.
Well, so it's funny. The Hamilton Mall. Have you been to the Hamilton Mall?
That's the local mall when we go down there because my wife's got her family's got a place in Mays Landing off 559. Yep.
They don't have the actual Chick-fil-A. They have like the other Chick-fil-A because they wanted Chick-fil-A to be open on Sunday, which of course they refused. So they got like the knockoff version of the Chick-fil-A in the Hamilton Mall now.
Well, and that's fine. I'm fine with that. You know, there's always a generic Chinese place as well that makes great bourbon chicken that I will go in there and I'll eat any day of the week. You know, it's not 5-star dining, but like I said, you know, when you're a white kid who grew up on the Montco Berks County border, you find comforts in like the simple things, like the mall food that you can relate to when you're a kid growing up. So I take it any day of the week. Hamilton Mall, I will. My wife has bought many a thing from the Macy's there. So
yeah, the classic Philly steaks at every place that you walk into, and it's like, do I really want to get the Philly steak here at the Hamilton Mall?
Yeah.
You mentioned. So I'm glad that you brought up the mall stuff. This cracked me up yesterday. I was writing down because do you recall the old Shore Mall that used to be here?
I do vaguely. Yeah, I do.
It had the Orange Julius, right?
Orange Julius. Yeah, that's a good one. Yep.
It had the Deb. The ladies store, the DEB. Is it called the Deb or the DEB?
I always called it Deb. I don't think I ever bought anything from there for obvious reasons, but I called it Deb. So could be right.
And then the classic of all classics, which no longer exists, is every mall had their Radio Shack.
Radio Shack. Right now, you can't even find any of those anywhere, right? So where do you go when you need to find a converter, a male to female cable? Where do you go when you need to find a dongle, you know, for your phone? Like I don't even know. You got to go to Amazon. You got to ask for it, right? You know, I don't know if it's the same down there. I think they did expand down there, but Drexel graduate Albert Boskov. Boscov's was like a suburban Philadelphia western suburbs anchor store. We had Boscov's all over the place up there.
Oh, we have one. I used to work there when I was a kid.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Where did you not work?
Well, I worked at Boscov's here, and then in the summer of '98, I worked at the Wall. But the Boscov here, where our studios are located, the Boscov's is like 3 minutes from here. Like it's
right. It is right up off the Black Horse Pike right there, or Route 40, right?
Yeah,
it's the same thing.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't but the Boscov's is funny because like I'll go to Boscov's because I live like right near there, and my girlfriend will always be like that's an old person store, and I'm like I get what I need. Boscov's like so the perception, I guess from I don't know. My girl doesn't want me to give her age, I'm sure, but she's getting close to my age bracket. Let's say it's perceived to be the old person store, which was unknown to me.
Hey, it's a generational thing, you know. I always liked going to the mall because it was like you hang out with your friends, you go to the food court, you play in the arcade, you go buy a couple things, you actually can try clothes on. You know, you do all this like online shopping and it's easy, but it's not, you know, you don't even know if anything fits. You don't get to try anything on. You don't actually talk to anybody. I don't know. There's just like a familiarity that comes with having that around there. You know, I mean, that's what we grew up on. And so you go to these places now where they're half empty and it's a little depressing. I got my second COVID shot in like a Sears that went out of business, which was pretty disappointing. We had to go sit after you got the shot. You had to sit there for 15 minutes to make sure you weren't going to fall over and pass out. And you could still see all the names of the stores that were like the brands that were no longer being sold. So I was like the Land's End portion of it, you know.
All these malls are now turning into outlets, which are going to be malls here shortly, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope that they find a use for that. You know, I was thinking after COVID, you know, maybe people are itchy to get out and be social again and do like in-person shopping. And I don't know. The mall was always like the hub of the community. You know, you ran into people that you knew there, and it was just like there was a familiarity with it, right? So it's a little bit more than just like, you know, combing through used CDs at the Wall or something. It was just like something that you grew up with and you were familiar with, you know.
Yeah, well, it was a Mount Rushmore segments right here. We went through the mall stores, we went through the pizza shops, we did it all. It's like Friday and like everyone, the office is closed. I just wanted to have a normal conversation with somebody, and I figured, you know, a WVU guy would be on my level there.
I appreciate that. Well, what, you don't want to talk about Ben Simmons, right? You don't beat that dead horse, right?
I feel like Ben Simmons will do fine.
Okay, Philadelphia Eagles, nothing really to talk about there. Listen, if this was going to be the day for a segment, I mean that's when you want, because nobody in Philadelphia sports is inspiring us right now anyway.
Well, I can tell you the weather's terrible. It's been raining. So the people who are sitting in traffic right now, getting off exit 36, who are listening to this, they at least know that this is like your thing, man. So they're probably like, I have people texting in Cody Ross with exclamation points, like the one random white dude who beat Philly teams, like, and everybody's answering Cody Ross right now. There's got to be, like, somebody has to think outside the box. There's somebody that you missed.
You know, I had a couple of them that were on the honorable mention that I can't remember right now. You know, random white dudes who killed Philadelphia sports teams when we weren't expecting it. You say Brian Colangelo could go on the list for sure. Carson Wentz last year.
The Colangelo is the one that you just end on.
And there was the linesman who blew somebody offside in like the 1980s series between the Oilers and the Flyers. What was his name? Leon Stickle. He's a random white dude who killed us when we weren't expecting it. So the sad thing, Mike Gill, is that there's a lot of candidates for this. You know.
All right, Kevin Kincaid. He provided some lighthearted humor on this happy hour Friday show, and I thank you for that, my friend.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for. Just give me a shout anytime. All right.
All right, brother. Take care. All right, Kevin Kincaid. Check him out, Crossing Broad. And, yeah, he likes to have fun on Twitter with the at Kevin_Kincaid with his Crossing Broad, Mount Rushmore. They're all in good fun. It's Friday. We're having fun. PT, happy hour Friday at 5 o'clock tonight. That will be fun. Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN. Your favorite mall store is what? 609-403-0973. If you're going to the mall, this is the only place you can go to that store. Spencer Gifts is you can only go to Spencer Gifts if you go to the mall. That's it. Hot topic. These are the mall stores. Which is the one that's your favorite? Now, the Wall is out of business. No longer. Sam Goody, out of business. Those stores don't exist anymore. You can walk around that store forever. The CD store, alphabetical order. Ooh, comb through the CDs. All right, football at 4 with Andrew next. Football at 4 is powered by the Inside the Birds podcast, and it is brought to you by PropSwap, where America buys and sells sports bets. Go to PropSwap.com or download the PropSwap app today. I'm Mike Gill. Andrew DeCecco from InsideTheBirds.com is back as we are taking a look at the divisions. We looked at the AFC East on Tuesday. Andrew's back for the AFC North, and I guess this one is one of the more interesting divisions in all of football. Baltimore, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, those three teams, I guess, Andrew, you could say all have Super Bowl aspirations, do they not?
Yeah, I mean, they're all pretty well-rounded top to bottom, I would say.
You got Baltimore, obviously, with Lamar Jackson. So let's start with him, the former MVP. This is a team that I guess was a little bit disappointing last year, but going to Lamar Jackson now in his third season as the starter here, what kind of expectation and development do you anticipate seeing from him in that offense?
Well, the Ravens have always been a team that they need to get out to an early lead, and Lamar Jackson usually doesn't have to do a whole lot of winning games with his arm and playing from behind, because when he's had to do that, he gets exposed a little bit. You'd like to see him take advantage of some of these opportunities that he's going to have. I mean, they do have a deep threat, Marquise Goodwin. They added Sammy Watkins. They have Rashad Bateman in there, Miles Boykins there. They have a decent offensive line. Ronnie Stanley's there. I mean, Kevin Zeitler they added. Nick Boyle's one of the better blocking tight ends in football. He's still in the fold, and they have a number of running backs that can get the job done too. So they do have some weapons there. You'd like to see them take advantage of it and sort of help the defense out, so that they're not always having to, win games on their own.
Yeah, and also they picked up Alexander Villanueva at tackle, got him from Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh gets a little weaker in that spot. They add him to that offense. J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, the running backs that you mentioned, Hollywood Brown, Sammy Watkins. Do they still don't seem to have, though, Mark Andrews, their tight end, they don't still seem to have that big-time number one wide receiver. I know Brown's kind of a playmaker, but is that what kind of will limit this offense in the end, in your opinion?
I mean, I'm sure it could hamstring the offense a bit, but they do have enough complementary pieces there, specialist type of receivers. Like, for example, they have James Prochet, a guy from SMU, undersized receiver he's tough as nails, and he can sort of man the slot. Tylan Wallace is a player who they drafted in the 4th round. Miles Boykins that go up and get it receiver. Rashad Bateman has the potential to be a top receiver. And then you have, of course, the two speed guys and Watkins and Brown. And Mark Andrews is one of my favorite tight ends to watch in the National Football League. So, I mean, the excuses, they're going to start to run out here. I mean, they've stocked the offense here. Now he's sort of got to make some plays with his arm. And he's not always going to be able to make some plays with his legs and stuff like that. So, this is the year that you want to see him take the next step in his progression, because he is a phenomenal athletic talent, Lamar Jackson.
Now, when you think of the Ravens, you typically think of defense and the defensive side of the ball. They won Super Bowls based on these great defenses they have. Where does this defense, when you look at the Ravens, do you still look at them as a defensive-minded team, or are they more now shifting to Lamar Jackson and the offense?
Well, I think now, based on how the roster's assembled, Mike, I think they're more of a well-rounded team. They've always had that defensive-minded they've adopted that defensive-minded mentality for years now. They've had an electrifying quarterback in Lamar Jackson, but the receiving core was never really up to par. And he had to focus. He had, Mark Andrews as his primary weapon to work with over the middle, and now he's sort of got some pieces around him. But I mean, when you look at the defense, I think they're more of it's a very stout, physical, fast-flowing defense, and that's sort of the Ravens' mentality. So I really love Marlon Humphrey on the third level, I should say, one of the top corners in football. I mentioned last time that Tre'Davious White was my favorite corner in the National Football League. Well, Marlon Humphrey's a close second for me. I think he's just a fundamentally sound player, can match up with a number of different types of body types for receivers, and he can just do it all. Patrick Queen is another player who I really like. He's an ascending talent. I picked him for Rookie of the Year last season. Defensive Rookie of the Year. And they have some physical guys on the defensive line like Derek Wolfe, like a Brandon Williams. So, I mean, you have to love what you see there.
All right, so that's the Baltimore Ravens. Let's go over to Cleveland. A lot of people thought last year, this was the hot team. They proved people right. They finally have, seemed to take that step in the right direction. So, Baker Mayfield, Let's get your thoughts on him as where he is in his progression as a quarterback in the NFL.
Well, I still would like to see Baker be a little bit more consistent. Obviously, last season he really elevated his game, and the Browns benefited from that. Normally, when you see a lot of those teams, the way that was sort of constructed last season, you don't really buy into the hype, because how many times have you seen teams that have all these make all these gaudy signings and acquisitions and have all these named players, but it never really pans out because you can't put a price on team cohesiveness. And I think last season they sort of broke the mold in that. Now you want to see them, okay, you made it to that point. Now let's see, can you get it? Is Baker Mayfield the quarterback to get them over the hump? And now you're going to have a healthy Odell Beckham. You have Jarvis Landry. Donovan Peoples-Jones is good for what he does, is a go up and get it receiver, red zone option. Higgins is solid. They have a decent offensive line. Of course, you have those two running backs that can do they can really do it all. They complement each other tremendously. And so I think that if he doesn't do it this year, if he doesn't sort of get over the hump and make that surge in the division, I don't know if Baker is going to ever be fully equipped to do that.
Yeah, that's a good point, and they're getting Beckham back. They seemed to take off better last year when he was gone. But you got Beckham, you got Landry, and you mentioned Higgins there, the Chubb and Hunt. They've got a tremendous core group of skill players there. And, Andrew, they've got the best offensive line maybe in football.
Yeah, I have to agree there. And going back to your point about Baker Mayfield, I don't know about you, but when I watched the game when they played the Kansas City Chiefs, it was almost like every drive you were like, Baker just can't mess it up. And when you're looking at a quarterback that you drafted in the first round, they should be able to sort of carry the offense on their shoulders in those type of moments. And I never really quite felt that he had that ability to sort of to take that step. So I think this year, I mean, there's no excuses, and the pieces are there. The offensive line's there. You have two running backs. You can lean on your running game. So, I mean, he's going to have to get it done.
Andrew Pacheco, it is football at 4. Cleveland's defense, Garrett, Clowney. They obviously brought in Clowney, and they had Garrett. So you got two high-profile guys there. But this defense is more than just those two high-profile names.
Yeah, Myles Garrett's the top pass rusher, in my opinion, in the NFL. Still has yet to scratch the surface of what he can do. I think, as incredible as that sounds, I think that he has a lot more room to grow. Then you have guys like Jordan Elliott, who's a defensive tackle from Missouri, and I really liked him in the draft last season. And when he was in the 3rd round pick, he showed some promise last season. He's going to be a starter on that defensive line. They added Anthony Walker, the middle linebacker from the Colts, who is a solid, not necessarily a flashy player, but he can get the job done right there in the middle of the defense. And I mean, look at their secondary, man. I mean, John Johnson perhaps is one of the most underrated safeties in football. He's there. Grant Delpit's there. You drafted Greg Newsome in the 1st round. Denzel Ward is solid on the left side. And then you have Troy Hill at the nickel spot. I mean, they have, and not to mention their backup players. There's also Ronnie Harrison there. There's also, I believe, Richard LeCount from Georgia, who is a solid, sort of like a honey badger type of mold player. And Greedy Williams is there too. So, I mean, they're very deep in the defensive backfield.
All right, let's shift over to Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Cleveland Browns, by the way, as Andrew just chronicled, a pretty loaded team. They have a lot of expectations. Some think a Super Bowl team. But let's look at Pittsburgh. Ben Roethlisberger is back, and obviously he's the last man standing in that 2004 draft. Eli's gone, and now Phillip Rivers is gone. So how much does Big Ben still have in the tank?
Well, the Steelers are only going to go as far as Big Ben can take them. And I think last season we saw them try to sort of mask his deficiencies. And with his advanced age, he can't deliver the football with the velocity that he had. I mean, and that's just going to happen with age. But, I mean, there's no option behind him, right? I mean, they have Mason Rudolph, Dwayne Haskins, I believe, is there. They just – I don't know if Ben Roethlisberger has enough in the tank to sort of be a game manager, so to speak, and guide that offense. But I mean, they have a lot of weapons at the wide receiver position. I love Deontay Johnson, terrific route runner. Chase Claypool, Eagles fans know all too well what he's capable of. James Washington is someone who's come on late. He was drafted in the 2018 draft. He's sort of starting to come on a little bit. And I mean, they have Eric Ebron, who was a reliable presence for the first time in his career, really, over the middle. And they got Freiermuth from Penn State, let's not forget. So, and as well as Najee Harris, the running back. So, I mean, there's a lot of young pieces around Ben. He's just going to have to find a way to kind of stay away from injury and, and they're going to have to scheme around what he's able to do at this stage of his career.
Yeah, this is a team that is kind of the poster child, though, of letting guys walk and then refilling and doing a great job of that. They've done it so many times over the years where the guy leaves Pittsburgh and totally I don't want to say becomes irrelevant. Antonio Brown was okay, I guess, last year. I mean, but you would say that Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown are certainly not the same players in their new spots that they were in Pittsburgh. But we'll see how Pittsburgh replaces them now. Juju Smith-Schuster's in a big year. Claypool drafted, as you mentioned. They did let Villanueva go, so we'll see how that offensive line ends up going. But another team in Pittsburgh that is usually thought of defense. When we think of Pittsburgh, even though they've had great offensive players, still defensive-minded. And this is an interesting defense here that a couple of years ago was kind of falling apart. They made that trade where they got Fitzpatrick, they got Joe Hayden. So how's this Pittsburgh defense now?
Well, they have a lot of veterans there on the defensive line. And then when you look at their second level, I mean, T.J. Watt is a phenomenal pass rusher. I mentioned Myles Garrett being, in my opinion, the top pass rusher in the NFL. Well, T.J. Watt would be a close second. Devin Bush is an ascending linebacker. He has sideline-to-sideline range and speed, and he plays the game with a lot of urgency. And Alex Highsmith, the right side linebacker there, taking over for the departed Bud Dupree, was someone who I really liked in the 2020 draft. I've interviewed him, and I got a chance to see him at the East West Shrine Bowl. I think he's going to really take that, kind of provide some pass rush off that side and fill the immense shoes of Bud Dupree quite admirably. And the secondary here is where it gets a little hairy, in my opinion. I mean, you have Joe Hayden, who's a bit older. Terrell Edmonds is someone who was a surprising first-round pick, I believe, a few years ago. Hasn't quite lived up to his billing. Very inconsistent player. And then when you look at the other side, it's like they have Justin Lane, I believe, and Cameron Sutton. Maybe he's still there, but I think the only guy that you can really rely on there is Minkah Fitzpatrick.
All right, and those three teams we think have Super Bowl aspirations, and then there's Cincinnati. So let's take a look at the Bengals. They had the number 1 pick last year, Joe Burrow. They added a piece for him this year with Jamar Chase, although some people thought they should have gone with an offensive lineman to help protect him. Joe Burrow,
I'd be one of them.
Yeah, you were one of them. I do remember that. But Chase is a great weapon. They already had T. Higgins, who was a great rookie last year. Tyler Boyd has been a nice player for them as well. Joe Mixon's a good running back. But can Joe Burrow stay upright with this offensive line?
Well, that's hopefully going to be the biggest question. I thought it was malpractice on the Bengals' part not to select Penei Sewell there when they had the opportunity. But, I mean, Jamar Chase has the opportunity to be one of the premier wide receivers in the NFL within the next 2 seasons. And he complements what Tyler Boyd can do as a over-the-middle possession receiver, and T. Higgins, who I think is going to take an immense step this season and be one of the breakout players of the 2021 season. Jonah Williams has struggled. He's been injured. And when you look at their offensive line, I mean, how could you go? I mean, outside of getting Jackson Carman, who I think is going to be a decent player, more of an interior player. I don't know if he's going to be ready to step in right away, but they did not address that offensive line. And when you have a quarterback like Joe Burrow, who you invested premier draft stock in, and he's coming off an injury, I mean, it doesn't make a ton of sense.
That offense, as you mentioned, not having the offensive lineman to really protect Burrow, that could be the story, but they could put up some big points if some of these guys end up blocking in front. Burrow's a good one. Let's go to their defense, which we talked about the other two teams, Baltimore and Pittsburgh, known for their defense. Not necessarily Cincinnati has not been known for their defense over the years. This defense seems like it is not going to be the strength of the team again.
Yeah, their defensive line isn't really going to strike fear into any offensive lineman that they go up against this season. But I really do like what they've done to address the second level. Akeem Davis-Gaither from Appalachian State is a modern day NFL linebacker. When he came out of Appalachian State, he was a little undersized, but he has that sideline to sideline range and can really drop into coverage and cover those backs and tight ends well. Logan Wilson's another player the Eagles had interest in. He went, I believe it was in the 3rd round. He went to Wyoming. He's a player there. They got him and Davis Gaither in the draft last year. And so I like that. I like what they've done there. And then at the 2nd level, or at the 3rd level, I should say, Von Bell and Jesse Bates is a very underrated safety tandem there. However, the cornerback situation is a mess. Darius Phillips, I believe you saw him get torched by the Eagles a couple of different times and a couple of pass interference penalties. He's a gravity player, doesn't have a lot of long speed. And I don't even know who's on the other side. I think they got Trey Waynes that they paid a lot of money to last offseason. So he's there, but I wasn't really high on him, on his prospects as being a player that's going to elevate that defensive backfield.
You know who they took a swing on is Awuzie and Eli Apple are also they brought in. Yeah. That reaction says it all right there on Eli. Was that for Apple, I would imagine, who's just been bouncing all over the place?
Both of them.
Yeah.
Both of them are grabby players that really just are what they are. I mean, if they would be sitting out there in November if they wanted to get them. Those are the type of players that we're talking about.
All right, AFC North. This, to me, could be one of the more interesting competitive divisions in football. You really have 3 playoff-level teams, 3 Super Bowl aspirations. I don't know that any other division in football has 3 teams that have Super Bowl aspirations. Maybe the NFC West, but this AFC North might be the best. Andrew, how do you kind of see it right now as before we get, we're just a couple of weeks from camp. What's your, prediction in the North? How does it finish out?
Well, I think what it's ultimately going to come down to, I think it's going to come down to the Browns and the Ravens. I think the Steelers will be a middling team, but I think ultimately Ben Roethlisberger isn't going to have enough juice to carry them and propel them into the playoffs, or I should say at least deep into the playoffs. The Bengals are obviously last, in my opinion, and then I think the Browns are going to be are going to finish first in that division. If I had to guess, and I think why I say that is because I think Lamar Jackson, there's going to come a point in time where he's going to have to win a game with his arm, and I don't know that he's going to. 3 years in, I don't know that he's going to be able to take that next step in his progression. And I think that's ultimately going to be what holds the Ravens back. All
right, so he likes Browns, Ravens, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. If you missed our AFC East preview, it's on our YouTube channel, InsideTheBirds.com. Andrew DeCecco here on Football at 4 as the NFL season is about to heat back up in just a couple of weeks. These previews will lead you right into Eagles training camp. And, of course, the Football at 4 team will be all over Eagles camp with the guys from InsideTheBirds.com. Andrew, have a great weekend, man. Happy 4th of July. And, of course, enjoy the weekend.
You too, Mike. Happy 4th. And to all the listeners as well.
Yeah, there you go. Andrew DeCecco, DeCecco NFL, and a great follow on the NFL, the Eagles, and music as well. He is a fantastic follow. If you want to get into some of his musical tastes, you can do that as well. All right, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. By the way, so my conversation with Kevin Kincaid was a good one. It was a fun one. We asked for mall stores. He did a Mount Rushmore of mall stores, having a little fun with that. We've been getting a lot of text in on your favorite mall stores, and I think we have one that might be entering the Mount Rushmore. He gave his Mount Rushmore. This store was not on it, and then people started to text in, how could you leave off this store? 609-403-0973. What mall store did we leave off the list of the Mount Rushmore of mall stores? Now, Kevin Kincaid had the Wall, Sam Goody. They were 2. What was the 3rd and 4th one? It was Electronics Boutique and Schuylkill Valley Sports, which is not in our area. So that one needs to be replaced here. We need to replace that. Electronics Boutique was pretty good. EB, right? Now it's GameStop. Like Electronics Boutique was the predecessor to GameStop. But GameStop is still kind of a mall store. So the best mall stores, what are they? 609-403-0973. So we've been getting text messages. I got a list of them that just came firing in kind of late here. But one of them we have to put on Kevin's list of the best mall stores. We'll tell you what that one is coming up. You guys can text your favorite mall stores to me as well. 609-403-0973. 609-403-0973. We've got plenty to dive into. It is Happy Hour Friday with Pete Thompson. Jeff Kerr going to talk a little NFL. There's a new team going to be on the Hard Knocks. Yep, they picked a team for Hard Knocks, and it is a NFC East team. All right? Remember when you said the Sixers would be better with Simmons over Doncic with a couple of smiley faces? I don't remember suggesting that Simmons is a better player than Doncic. I think I said this Sixers team right now with Simmons. Now, obviously, Simmons was not the same player when I made that suggestion, but his defense is way better than Luka, who, by the way, the last I checked, sorry, try again, Ryan Robinson. You keep trying with this. When Luka gets out of the first round of the playoffs, you let me know. He's a great individual talent, but it wasn't about who was a better player. It was who fits this team better. And the way Simmons played in the regular season. Now, not how he played in the playoffs, but how he played in the playoffs wasn't how he played when this conversation came up. So you keep trying, Ryan, but you keep failing. But I do appreciate you continuing to check in. Good stuff out of you, pal. Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, and the free mobile app. right, do you remember? We look at things on this date. It's the Do You Remember Weekend edition. 4th of July weekend. By the way, the text messages coming in on the mall stores are really starting to kill it right now. Champs, Spencer Gifts, Merry-Go-Round, the GNC, the Piercing Pagoda, Lids, Orange Julius. Lids is a great one. Although, they got a lot going on in that Lids store at the Hamilton Mall. They got you can get your name engraved in the hat and stuff like that. All right, Josh Henning's my producer. Do you have a mall store that, I guess you would be the GNC guy?
Probably not. I've never really been a GNC guy.
Oh, that's not your brand?
It's not my brand, no.
Do they not have the brands that you subscribe to or something?
Typically not.
Interesting.
Well, GNC is one of those companies that they're big on selling you stuff, but not actually giving you what you really need.
I don't know what that means, but okay.
Well, it's like, if you, if you're scrolling through online right now, you see something pop up, like one of the pop-up ads, right? Do you really need to buy that thing? No, they're just trying to sell you something.
Right.
You go to GNC, they're always trying to sell you something.
Yeah.
You don't really need it. They're just trying to sell you stuff.
Check out Josh's Fitness Friday. He's got tips online. This is going to be a new feature on our website, 973ESPN.com. He is a certified...
I am certified fitness nutritional specialist through the National Academy of Sports Medicine. I'm also certified in the psychology of weight loss and control. I also am a former personal trainer certified, and I also studied in the study of fitness supplementation.
So he's going to start writing a new column on our website on Fridays, Fitness Fridays, to give you tips. I like it. It's a good idea by you.
That was your idea.
I was just giving you the credit for it.
Well, I'm doing the writing, but you were the creative.
Let's see how it happens.
Like Steve Jobs
on this day, July the 2nd.
Yes, I was compared to Steve Jobs. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, right. Okay. I would like his bank account. Roger Clemens records his 350th win. He allows 1 run on 2 hits over 8 versus the Twins. Yankees manager Joe Torre, the catcher for Warren Spahn, 350th win back in 1963, becomes a participant of the first 2 occasions a pitcher reached that milestone since 1928. The following year, Greg Maddux would also reach 350 wins, playing with the Padres, joining the Torre-managed Dodgers 2 weeks later to finish his career.
Wow.
How about that? Roger Clemens, 350 wins. My favorite player of all time, Roger Clemens. Very tainted towards the end, but, I mean, I was a fan of the Rocket with the Red Sox.
At the end of the day, I always believe that if we nitpicked everyone, we could find something wrong with them. So I choose to judge people on their performance and not on just purely, did they do it, the way that somebody personally wants them to do it.
Here's a question. 1 game, Roger Clemens or Greg Maddux? Who's your pitcher?
Roger.
Rocket.
There's no question. Because I've seen too many.
Maddux had a lot of big game failures.
I've seen a lot of exactly. I've seen a lot of Greg Maddux games where he choked.
Greg Maddux, man.
Especially in the World Series. Remember the Braves got the World Series all those times. A couple of those times with Greg Maddux, he didn't do so well. Just saying.
All right, you're right though.
Especially versus the Yankees.
Yep. All right, on this day. We had a lot of tennis this weekend because of Wimbledon, right? If you watch television, you would see that Wimbledon is happening. So on this day, Venus Williams overcomes a championship point. She beats top-ranked Lindsay Davenport. It's the women's final. It's the longest ever at Wimbledon.
Yeah, that was a marathon back and forth. I actually remember that match because I remember thinking, is this thing ever going to end?
4-6, 7-6, 9-7. Remember, the women only play 3 sets.
That is correct.
On this day, the 2004 Maria Sharapova was 17 years old. She won her first Grand Slam title. She beat Serena Williams 6-1, 6-4 at Wimbledon. For the first time since 1999, none of the 4 major titles was won by one of the Williams sisters.
And Sharapova is someone who you were hoping she was going to have a grander career because she had so much ridiculous talent. Like, she's one of those athletes that you think is going to be like a superstar, and they just end up having like a good career, but not a great career. That was Maria Sharapova. She had some really great moments, but she never was consistently at the level of her potential.
No, and she kind of fizzled out. Now she's like she's on Shark Tank.
Well, it didn't help her fizzling out because she got caught with PEDs.
Yeah, well, she's on Shark Tank. She made enough money that she's now buying companies.
Well, she's someone who definitely invested her money properly, and it was not her fault with the PED situation. Her coach told her she could take something that she couldn't take, and she got caught, and she was smart enough to save her money.
On this day, July 4th, these are the July 4th things because that will be on Sunday. The Yankees hold Lou Gehrig Appreciation Day after his sudden retirement. Gehrig's emotional speech contains the now famous opening today. I consider myself the luckiest man
on the face of the earth.
There you go. Where does that rank on the Mount Rushmore of speeches?
Definitely up there in the top 4 for sure. We're just doing sports speeches or all-time speeches, though? Because he might be all-time speeches, too.
2007, Joey Chestnut wins the first Nathan's hot dog eating contest. Since then, he's won a record 11 titles. He's only lost once back in 2015. His 74 hot dogs eaten in 2018 are a world record. Are you a Joey Chestnut fan?
I am not a competitive eating fan. I just don't understand why people find that entertaining or they want to watch it.
I think it's the entertainment value. It's more the, oh my gosh, I can't believe this guy can do this.
I'm one of those people who's just like, I'll get the results on my phone when it comes up as an alert.
Well, if you don't care, what do you care about the results are? I don't care who wins. I just like this. It's like it's the car crash aspect of it. I don't care who wins. 2008, Dara Torres is 41 years old. She makes the U.S. Olympic team for the 5th time. She wins the 100-meter freestyle at the swimming trials. She is the first U.S. swimmer to make 4 Olympic teams.
And if I remember reading correctly, this will be Sue Bird will actually match her record now because she is now on the Olympic team for a 4th time.
All right. Let's do one more. Okay. This is the weekend edition, so we got some stuff from the 4th of July here. This is 2016 on the 4th of July. Kevin Durant writes the article for the Players Tribune saying he will sign with the Golden State Warriors. That was 2016. My gosh, it's so long ago.
That was a rough day for you.
I hated that.
You were a big KD guy for years.
I was. He was my favorite player. He was my Roger Clemens, and I no longer like him.
Well, at least you still got Roger.
I'll always have Roger.
Clemens never, left to go to join a super team. He got traded. He was forced to go.
Well, they wanted him gone. The Red Sox were done with him. They thought he was done.
Right. Then the Blue Jays traded him to the Yankees.
All right. That was Do You Remember for the weekend of 4th of July, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Thank you, Josh. He'll be back a little bit later on in the show. Coming up on the other side, talk a little Phils with Bob Wankel from Crossing Broad. This weekend series with the Padres. What have the Padres done that the Phillies haven't done? We'll discuss it coming up next here on the Sports Bash. All right, Phil, start a weekend series with the Padres, who, for a while they weren't very good. So what have the Padres been able to do that the Phillies haven't been able to do? Bob Wankel, Crossing Broad, covers the Phils, who we will do a full State of the Phillies on Monday's show for you guys in the 2 o'clock hour. You can listen to kind of us break down the entire organization, soup to nuts. But this weekend, Bob, this is kind of the Padres for a while were a team that had no plan. They couldn't get out of their own way. They seemed very Phillies-esque, and here they are, one of the best teams in baseball. What's something the Padres have been able to do that the Phillies have not?
They've been able to go out and aid their young talent with good free agent signings that have created a fun and exciting blend. That's what they've been able to do. I mean, you got a guy like Fernando Tatis, and you support him with some pretty good role players and a really good starting rotation. And I mean, that's the strength of this Padres team. 15 games over 500 coming into Philly here this weekend.
That offseason when the two free agents were available, it was, do you want Bryce Harper, right? That was the choice. It was, do you want Bryce Harper? And, of course, Manny Machado. Looking back at that, did the Phillies play it right?
Oh, that's a heck of a question. I mean, I think that Bryce Harper is the more productive player, the better offensive player. I think statistically that'll bear out, but I do wonder as we get deeper into these deals and deeper into these contracts, if Manny Machado is going to have a little bit more longevity. Certainly hasn't had the lengthy list of injuries that Bryce Harper's had, but just in terms of pure impact and excitement and drawing fans to the stadium and things like that, I think that's what the Phillies were looking for at the time. And I think Bryce Harper in that regard was still the right pick.
Yeah, it seems that Harper is more of a connecting player with the Philly fans. Machado, though, kind of not that Harper doesn't. The Phillies outfield's a disaster, but Machado playing third, he wanted to play short. He could have done either had they signed him here. And you wonder, would that have been a smarter move, is to have him playing shortstop or third base with your current third base situation?
Yeah, there's no doubt that he would have been a significant defensive upgrade. He probably would have given them better defense on the left side if he himself just stood between shortstop and third base. So, I mean, there could be an argument to be made there for sure. But, I mean, don't get me wrong. He's still a very productive hitter. I think he's coming in somewhere just under 800 with an OPS right now, and just a really solid player all around. But, I think Bryce Harper does still have a little bit more upside in his game.
The lineup tonight is the first time that the Phillies are really going. Now, Herrera wasn't there on opening day, but you can make an argument that he's better than any of the guys. Well, I don't think there's an argument to be made. He's better than any of the guys that started opening day. But really, from top to bottom, this is the first time since Mother's Day that they're going to go with the lineup they hope to have on opening day. So this should be an interesting weekend. You got Bohm hitting in the 8-hole tonight.
Yeah, and Alec Boehm hitting in the 8 spot is certainly a lot different than asking him to take bats in 5 or 6. We've talked recently about his lack of power. He had a really good June in terms of batting average. On base percentage was creeping up there a little bit. It was definitely a rebound month for Alec Boehm after a really difficult April and May, but the power has not been there yet, and that has not showed up. So you can kind of live with the lack of power if he's hitting an 8 spot. So you see that this lineup is getting a little bit deeper now. And we'll see what happens. I mean, the Phillies have to go right now. There has to be obviously a sense of urgency. They've let a number of games here over the last 2 weeks get away from them. And, if they were playing average baseball, okay baseball, they'd be sitting 2 or 3 games out as we go into this weekend. And one thing you have to keep in mind here now, the Padres, quality team, very good out west, but just a 500 team on the road this season. Philly's still a pretty good team at home. This is a series that, Phillies really should win 2 out of 3. And the way that their pitching stacks up, you're sending Zach Wheeler out there tonight. You're not getting Matt Moore now this weekend. He'll pitch Monday. So, this is a series where I think the Phillies have to come out and really show that they can play with one of the better teams in the National League.
Yeah, you got Wheeler tonight. You got definitely the pitching nod there. Paddock going for San Diego. So you definitely have the pitching matchup there. Didi is back. I mean, he had this strange elbow issue here, but what does getting him back do for the offense at least? I mean, because I don't know that he helps the defense.
We'll see what happens offensively. Is he healthy? Can he play semi-regularly? There was an idea that he may be eased back into things here, that he's not going to come out and start 5 consecutive days. So we'll see how Joe Girardi kind of eases him back into the mix here. Defensively, Didi Gregorius is not a very good player. I mean, that's just the reality of it. He struggles to make the throws at this point. I would say that he is not best suited to play shortstop, but in light of where the Phillies are at with their defensive alignment, what they have available to them, we'll see. I don't think you're going to see a significant drop off at shortstop or anything like that. But offensively, the hope is that he can kind of replicate what he did in that shortened season last year. And if he can give the Phillies that, they might be cooking a little bit here. That lineup all of a sudden becomes a little bit more versatile, beat you in a lot of different ways. So, we've talked about the Phillies not having the ability to get 4 or 5 guys firing on all cylinders at the same time. And you hope now that they have their full complement back that they can finally do that.
Yeah, and I think the lineup's interesting. Girardi, going with Herrera, sticking with him in the leadoff spot. I don't know that he has another option. Segura has been one of the best hitters, 325. I mean, I couldn't believe I saw Harper at 275, Bob, is the 13th best hitter in the National League at 275. Like, how times have changed, right? Where 275, you are a top 15 hitter batting average-wise in the entire league. But, so that kind of says how good Segura has been. Real Muto, he's going 3rd. Harper 4. McCutcheon 5th. He's going with Hoskins all the way down to the 6th hole. So it shows he's lost a little faith in his guy.
Yeah, the way things have trended here over the last month, I mean, Andrew McCutcheon has been a far more consistent and productive performer than Rhys Hoskins. So you think about Rhys Hoskins being a 3 guy, a 4 guy, but based on performance, I mean, this is probably what I would do. And I haven't said that too many times, in regards to decisions made by Joe Girardi this season, but I kind of am in agreement with him here, maybe take a little bit of the pressure off of Hoskins. I think that he's certainly been feeling that a lot lately, and slide him down and see if you can kind of get him going again, because he heated up a little bit after a really prolonged cold stretch. He's kind of trended back in that direction again. So you drop him down, and again, just talking about length, you can live with a guy, kind of feeling his way through things, hitting 6th or 7th, whereas when he's supposed to be your best hitter, 3rd in the lineup, I mean, that's a killer.
Yeah, no doubt. I certainly I'm pretty surprised at the same time, but I think it's a good move. Moving him down the lineup there, because obviously now the one thing has been, his batting average was never great, but it was always he gets on base. He's not doing that either.
Yeah, that's really the big, the noticeable difference in his game to this point. Even when he was really going through it at points in 2019 and 2020, the first half of last year, really struggled. The one skill that didn't erode was the on-base skill. He could work walks. He could find his way on. I mean, the guy could hit 215, but the on-base percentage would still be sitting in the mid-300s. And he just isn't drawing walks at the same rate. I think that he's trying to do more damage. Like, I think a year ago we probably talked, and I would have told you, hey, he's a heart of the order kind of guy. He needs to be a little bit more aggressive. So I wouldn't really have any issue if those walks came down and it was being replaced by big-time power production, or maybe a little bit of an uptick in his batting average, but he's still missing a lot of hittable pitches, and those numbers just aren't quite there right now.
Bob Wanko crossing broad, looking at the Phillies going into the weekend. They got the Padres here. You mentioned they got some pitching matchups here. Wheeler, Eflin, Velasquez are going to be the guys that go. 4 at Chicago, 3 at Boston. Now, they gained a game in the standings last night by not playing. That's the Phillies for you. 4.5 back. This is a pretty important stretch leading into this All-Star break here, because you got 3 teams who are all playoff teams right now. So this could be a pretty defining pre-All-Star break, schedule.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that the Phillies have, and one thing I'll say is, as bad as it's been, as bad as the last couple of weeks have been, I know it has not been a very entertaining product to watch, but the Phillies have the ability, based on where they're at in the standings over the next 25, 26 days here, to validate that they are a team that can compete going down the stretch, and really maybe force this front office to think about adding to the bullpen, maybe going out and getting another starter for the back end of the rotation, and taking a shot at what's really been an underachieving and wide open division. But they have to prove it here. You know, things do open up a little bit after the All-Star break. The schedule softens a little bit, but they have to prove it against teams like the Padres, the Cubs. You know, now is the time going into the All-Star break. They've got to step on the gas. They've wasted so many opportunities and so many gifts to this point, and now they've got themselves their backs are against the wall, and they've got to go.
Yeah, they're coming out of that All-Star break, by the way. You know, you say it lightens up. They've got the Marlins for 4, a team that obviously has given them fits. They play 2 against the Yankees and then 4 against the Braves and 4 against Washington. An 8-game homestand there before they travel to Pittsburgh and Washington for a couple of road games there. So that right out of the All-Star break, Miami, New York, Atlanta, and Washington, as we just talked about, if they're kind of hanging around, that could be where they, boom, step on the gas and maybe get out of this mid-level and jump to the next level. But I don't know, man. It just feels like we're waiting for it to go one direction or the other, and you might just be stuck on the seesaw.
Yeah, I wouldn't be entirely surprised whatsoever if they just split those games right in half. You know, it's funny. We talk about the Braves, the Nationals, the Yankees. These are teams coming into the season. We're saying they're all going to be really good. You know, so for me to say the schedule softens, but these teams have all underachieved. Now, Washington's gotten hot lately, but if you think that the Phillies have been a drag to watch this year, look at the expectations the Braves entered with and where they're at right now. I mean, they've had a miserable season compared to what they should have been. The Yankees, just kind of very similar vibe to the Phillies. You're like waiting for them to go off. You're waiting for them to catch fire. Now, Yankees are, you know, playing better baseball overall than the Phillies, but they're not in it really, you know, right now. So they've got to make a move too. The Phillies have an opportunity here. Will they do it? I wouldn't bet on it, but the opportunity is there nonetheless.
All-Star rosters, starters were put out today. I would imagine Wheeler is the lone rep. Maybe Segura, but Wheeler definitively would be the only guy.
Absolutely. I mean, I think Gene Segura would have had an outside shot or maybe a pretty decent shot, but missing, you know, a couple weeks there recently, I think kind of killed him. And there's just nobody else that you can look around this team and say, yeah, they would be deserving of it. It'll be Zach Wheeler.
I was talking earlier about when, like, Bryce Harper, he's 28 and, you know, like, he's going to be here for a while. But, like, it reminded me a little bit of when Ken Griffey Jr. left Seattle. He was 30 years old, and, like, he just never looked right in the Reds uniform. Like, you never felt like he was the same Ken Griffey Jr. as the guy that played for the Mariners. And it's like, at 28 years old, he's been in the league for, like, 10 years. Is Bryce Harper kind of like an aging star now? Like, this new game and this new wave of players has almost made him like a forgotten superstar. Like, he was, for a while, the guy. And now it's almost like he's almost a forgotten, I don't know, like his level of relevance is like diminished a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he's only 28 years old, but he's an old 28. You know, he's in his 10th year. He's been around, you know, so you could be a 28-year-old and be in year 3 or 4, right? But for Bryce Harper, I mean, the guy's been around for a decade.
Yeah.
You know, the numbers are still there. He's missed almost 20 games or right around 20 games this season. And if he had stayed on the field and you kind of just take those numbers and extrapolate them out, you'd be looking at a really good stat line right now. You'd be talking about a guy that has 17, 18 home runs. I know there's been a lot of conversation about his lack of RBIs and all that stuff, but I really, frankly, I think that says more about the Phillies' inability to set the table in front of him than it says anything about Bryce Harper. Still has an OPS sitting around 900 right now. OPS, I think, was like 960 something last year. Still a really good player, but the bottom line is, and the reason why he's become a little bit of an afterthought, as you mentioned, is that the team just isn't very good. I mean, ESPN, MLB Network, they want to feature the Phillies. They go into seasons early on, Sunday Night Baseball, you see the Phillies, but then they don't do anything to hold it down and stay relevant. And if they get on a run and they make a postseason run here, Bryce Harper's profile will raise again. But right now, yeah, I mean, he's an afterthought because he plays for a team that's an afterthought.
Bob, if Joe Girardi needs a closer, who's the guy he calls on?
Tonight, I would imagine it'll be Jose Alvarado.
All right. There you go. Bob Wankel, Crossing Broad. Monday, the state of the Phillies from top to bottom, all the way through the minor leagues and everything. Dombrowski, Girardi, Rhys Hoskins. Who should be traded? Who should stay? That's in the 2 o'clock hour. Bob Wankel, Crossing Broad. All right, man. Have a great weekend, my friend.
I'll talk to you soon, Mike.
All right, there he goes. On a Friday edition. It's Happy Hour Friday with the PT, Pete Thompson. Woohoo! The PT's here. He joins me next right here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. And your favorite mall stores continue to come in. Foot Locker, Champs, Lids, Annie Ann's, Sears. Holy mackerel, you guys are doing a great job.
with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Now, live inside the Matt Black Kia Studios, here's Mike Gill.
All right, 5 o'clock. It's a drive home. Happy Hour Friday with the PT. Pete Thompson is here. People were wondering, did they miss a big announcement? PT, you weren't here on Tuesday. I said, no big announcement. PT just had the day off. Have a day off every once in a while.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, right. No, you didn't miss any crazy announcement. Just no Tuesday with Thompson with the PT. But he is back for Happy Hour Friday. And happy hour.
Perfectly coiffed, by the way. I'm not sure if you're noticing this on the stream, but
fresh cut.
That's my girl, Kate. She's like, "Oh, you going to be on the radio today?" I said, "Yeah." You want me to say your name again? "Oh, yeah, please."
Fresh cut for the PT.
Yeah, thank you, Kate.
Any product?
You know what? It popped up so good. She's like, "I don't even think I need to put some product in." I go, you better put a little bit in there because it's such fine hair, just a little, but not as much stickum or glue, not as much of a foreign substance as normally she would have to put it.
Yeah, Spider Tech in your hair.
Yeah, that's right. Spider Tech. It locks it down, never goes anywhere.
Now, on the Tuesday with Thompson that you missed, we had an interesting topic that we had a ton of fun with. Probably had a record-breaking number of text messages, actually.
Okay.
So this is right up your alley, and that's why I texted you yesterday, because the topic came back up, and you're a lot better at this game than Josh is.
All right. Thank you.
You got Josh riding shotgun with me on this topic. Are you sure? Ready?
All right, I'm ready for it.
All right. Now, Elle Duncan was the originator of the question, and she asked 5 movies that you are confident that you've seen 10 times.
Oh, 5 movies I'm confident I've seen 10 times. Well, number 1 would be Goodfellas. That's easy, right? Number 2, 10 times Billy Madison. Number 3, 10 times Caddyshack. Number 4, 10 times. How about since July 4th weekend's coming out and it's playing at the Ventnor Theater, how about Jaws? Right?
It's playing at the Ventnor Theater?
Yeah, it's coming to the Ventnor Theater, which is great. Wow. That's a great job by them. way to capitalize.
The fact that you can see Jaws in the theater. Wow.
Yeah, really cool. And you can
that might get me to go back.
Yeah, you should. And you should take your significant other. Yeah, that'd be a heck of a date night.
And I haven't been to the new Ventnor Theater yet, which I've been wanting to get to.
Got the whole restaurant upstairs. You can have some cocktails, some sacrament, have a little bit of the food and the beverage.
Nucky's Kitchen, right?
Yeah, or something like it's Nucky something. I just know I haven't been there yet, so I haven't been able to.
Oh, I thought you were there.
No, I've just I wrote about it in Shore Local, and I'm excited to go over. So this may be what gets me over too.
Jaws could be the one that I haven't been to the movie since 1998.
Right, I remember the one.
All right,
yeah,
People versus Larry Flint.
That is correct.
Which I think I have seen 10 times.
Yeah. Oh, my 5th would have been Shawshank. I don't know if I said Shawshank or not, but.
And that's when, all right, so everybody said Shawshank should be everywhere. And then some guy tweeted at me that he never saw Shawshank. And I said, oh, well, you got
so many of the baseball ones, Field of Dreams, Bull Durham, and For Love of the Game. All 3 of those I've seen 5 times or more, including my caveat. What's that?
Has to be 10 times.
Oh, all right. Well, I definitely know that I've seen Field of Dreams 10 times.
Thompson, 5 movies that you've seen 10 times.
Yeah. Well, okay.
5 times.
Right. Well, sorry, the 5 got stuck in my head. But yeah, those baseball ones, Field of Dreams, for sure I've seen Field of Dreams 10 times. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, no, we had a record number of texts. I mean, people were and they were sending us their 5 movies that they've seen 10 times. Now, you know me, I barely have seen anything.
Right. It's so funny the things that you stop on, though. Like today, I was just looking for something, and you're like, all right, let's go up in the 300s and see what's in the HBO area and all that stuff. And there was Thomas Crown Affair on. And I happen to really enjoy that movie. That's Pierce Brosnan, and Rene Russo has never looked better. So, and Dennis Leary's got a great supporting role in it. So it was a hell of a lot of fun to watch the last hour of that again, Yeah,
I've never seen that one, but we had so many that were coming in. So I was reading through these movies from people, and I was wondering, is this normal that X amount of people, this many people would have seen these movies 10 times. So of course I'm giving them to Josh.
Right. And he doesn't know what the movie is, or he's only seen it once or whatever.
Like The Jerk with Steve Martin. He didn't know.
Oh, sure. I referenced that when I was playing golf last week. I said that my paddle thingy's broken. This is broken. Come here, bleephead. That's what he called his dog.
And somebody mentioned The Shining, and he said, "Oh, I don't watch any M. Night Shyamalan movies." I'm like, wait, what? I knew
that's sacrilegious.
Even I knew The Shining was
Stanley Kubrick.
Yes. Well, but
Jack Nicholson.
Right. I've never seen it though, but I knew.
All work and no play makes Josh a dull boy. Hey,
He's selectively picking the two specific cases I didn't know.
No, I only went through 2. There's a plethora of more. If
Josh, you would never do that.
That's
There's
where
a plethora of movies that I knew and I referenced. I had to tell you about.
I'm not doubting that.
Well, see, you did an intro with that. You just went to the 2 that I didn't know.
It's my show. I can do what I want. Correct. I started at The Jerk. You didn't know that one. Now let me ask you, Pete Thompson.
Hang on,
2 movies of high.
These people that are on the StreamYard, let me get these out here. These are my glasses, but remember he had the OptiGrab, and he put them on like from the center thing, and then when he took his glasses off, his eyes were all good.
Right now, I picked those 2 movies. It's not like they're obscure.
No, Steve Martin and The Jerk, absolutely. That's not. And what was the other one? The Shining, and he didn't know The Shining. Oh,
right.
Yeah. Those are pretty big.
Said, hey, like somebody put in like the whatever. I can't even there were so many over the last 3 days.
There were a super ridiculous amount of text speed.
I love it. Look, it's summertime, and that's the time of movies. That's when you should see movies right now. But the whole paradigm has changed. Some of this stuff comes out on HBO Max. Some of it actually is just in the theaters only. Some of it's on both. Some of it, thank God, it's on HBO Max. So thank God you don't have to go spend too much money to go see.
Well, P, it's funny you said that because the Fast and Furious 9 movie that came out this past weekend was the most grossed movie domestically, internationally since October 2019.
Yeah, good. Look, I'm all about going to the movies. I know Gill isn't, but I'm all about it. And like I said, that Jaws at the Ventnor Theater, go see that. Go check out the Tilton Theater. The revamped with the comfy seats, and they have the IMAX too. I mean, there's stuff that I can't wait to watch in IMAX. So hey, get out and go see stuff. I think there's what's the one out now? I think is it a Chris Pratt movie that's out tomorrow's
Amazon Prime.
I couldn't tell you like one new movie that's actually new in the theater.
Well, that one that I just talked about, the Tomorrow's War, and then there was something else that was.
I feel like I never see a commercial like in theaters now. Like everything is like right.
Well, they're still warming back up to it. I mean, you got to give it a chance.
Thing again, like that, the theaters are going to have like the first run of the movies. Are they going to just say, "Hey, we'll go right to Netflix. We're going to go right to Amazon Prime"?
Yeah, I mean, look, the theater owners, and that's a big, you talk about big organizations, the national theater chain, the AMCs of the world and the Regals and the, all that stuff. I mean, they want to stay in business too. So, I mean, God bless them for surviving through this pandemic, but I sure hope they get back to regular movies again.
Well, also, you got to remember, Christopher Nolan, the director, brought this up last year when his movie came out. I
didn't like that one, but go ahead. That was the last movie I saw in a theater.
But he said a lot of these contracts that these actors and these directors get, it's built around them getting a gross of the box office. So these movies that went straight to digital, there's a big controversy now that how are they getting paid on that? How are people getting paid on the direct digital movies unless, like, for example, Netflix outright buys the rights to it? So, if you, for example, on HBO Max and in the theater, and your company is Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers, the whole contract's built upon you getting money based on the box office revenue. Well, what happens if half the box office revenue goes to digital? Then you're out of money.
Now, see, Gill, you don't have kids, but I did see pictures of different people that are my age that have kids that were taking their kids to Peter Rabbit 2 last weekend or the weekend before. There's Boss Babies coming out, the family business, Boss Baby 2. The first one was good. They say the second's not as good. In the Heights was supposed to be really good. I don't think that they got what they were looking for out of that, but I'm excited to see Jaws. I'm sorry to keep going back to that. Ooh, Despicable Me 3. I'll watch that too.
Yeah, there was a bunch of there was a guy who texted in yesterday, like all these kids movies. I guess because you got kids, you got the movies on, but like Ratatouille, stuff like that. Finding Nemo.
Sure. Those movies were huge. Sure.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well,
very much so.
Yeah, well, I had to talk. Like, we had so many over the last couple of days, and it was like amazing the amount of movies that were thrown. And I'm like, I haven't seen this one. Like, some guy said Scarface, and I said, well, I didn't see it because it's not on television. Like, I'm not the guy who sits there and like pops on the VHS or a DVD player or whatever. So when is Scarface ever on TV?
I thought, weren't they playing it on AMC at one point in time, or like late night? Yep. Yeah, I thought they played that before. This way.
Shawshank, Jaws, Back to the Future. They're on TV in the middle of the afternoon.
That's true. There was a period of time where Shawshank was on all the time. Yes, there's no doubt about that. But you gotta hear that line. Say hello to my little friend.
Of course,
I have to hear that.
Like The Shining, I never saw, but I know I heard of it. I know it. I know the poster. The
Red Rum.
Steve Martin, I know the references. That was my.
But you've seen that one, right?
I have not seen The Jerk.
You've never seen The Jerk? Oh my God, Maven R. Johnson. My name is in the phone book. I am somebody.
No, I like that line right there.
Yes,
that might push me to go see this.
It's a very PT line, and then they're shooting at him and Jackie Mason. I think Jackie Mason's still alive. Yeah. I don't blame him for Caddyshack 2. It's not his fault.
The Schweimer text it is in. Should I read these?
Oh my gosh. Well, that means his phone's working, but yes, go ahead. What does he have?
Oh, his phone's working. That sounds like a side story for Sunday morning on the locker room. PT and Billy.
Oh, wait till you hear it. The things he's put me through today. Wait till you hear it.
The random text I got from him. I'm like, well, first off, what is the genesis of this text message? Like, the question he asked me was like, hey, are you carrying the Stanley Cup Finals? I'm like, what, for the one guy who's still paying attention to that?
Right, the Tampa transplant that decided that New Jersey was better than Tampa.
Wait, are you like Pete Thompson? You're a hockey fan. Are you watching the Stanley Cup Finals?
No, sir, not really. Not very much. I watched the recap.
I honestly didn't even remember that it was still on. Like,
I can connect this. We have a lot of Canadian visitors that come down and camp and outdoor in Cape May. Remember?
Yeah.
So those campgrounds. So maybe they're from Montreal and they came down for the summer and they want to be able to follow.
Do you anticipate? Like, am I going to just round up Steve Coates and Tim Saunders and ask them if they will provide the broadcast for us? Like, where are we getting the Stanley Cup Finals? Like, you know how this works?
Right. No, he doesn't. But I love him. What was his text of his movies?
The movie texts were Kelly's Heroes, which I've never heard of.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's an old military movie.
Platoon.
Oh, he went all military.
All military movies?
No. Shawshank.
All right. That's not a military. Yeah.
North Shore.
Okay.
Is that a surfing movie?
I don't know.
I've never heard North Shore either.
And Saving Private Ryan.
Okay, well, that's better than Saving Ryan's Privates, so that's good. Sorry, I went there. I apologize. That's how you know you've made it as a movie. You know you've made it as a movie when you're getting parodied.
Yeah, I got you.
Sorry, it was happy hour. I couldn't help myself.
Thank you. Happy Hour Friday. Pete Thompson here. So that was the Schweim's list of the movies here. 5 movies that he has seen 10 times, and it seems like
North Shore, 1987. I'm 16 years old. I'm not watching North Shore. Give me a break.
But you watch like Summer School.
Oh, absolutely. I love Mr. Shoop. I mean, I still watch him at NCIS.
Yeah,
Chainsaw.
I thought it because somebody like the other day, I guess one of my buddies was listening to us have this conversation, and he's like, I was just going through all these things, and I'm like, then I'm remembering like all those 80s movies that like, like Summer School or Can't Buy Me Love with Patrick.
Just one of the guys.
Yeah.
Like
all
the inevitable scene.
All the Patrick Dempsey's like, I will buy $2.
Right. That's Better Off Dead. Zapped with Scott Baio and Willie Ames. Willie Ames is a preacher now.
Yeah.
He was an 8 is enough. Mm-hmm. But I digress.
Yeah.
I didn't get to give you any mall stories. I was all excited to give you a mall story.
I was transitioning to that now. I said, all right, PT. So,
okay.
Gill's getting me off this topic as well. So,
all right. Well, nice to see you, Josh.
I didn't throw you off. You excused yourself.
I am excused.
All right. So Kevin Kevin Kincaid was on earlier, and he was doing it's like it's Happy Hour Friday. It's the 4th of July weekend.
Right.
And he was doing his Mount Rushmore of mall stores with us, right? So we just started to kind of just boom. And then people just started texting these in like nonstop, right? We got all these text messages of the mall stores that we missed.
Now, did anybody go to my favorite? You know, the one I always reference, Hickory Farms. Did anybody come in with Hickory Farms?
No.
Really?
No.
No, I didn't. I mean, look, Hickory Farms wasn't just at one point it became seasonal. You had to get the beef stick. That was the big Hickory Farms.
I remember the beef stick story.
Yeah, but Hickory Farms is a big one. Now, both the bookstores, B. Dalton and Walden Books, are no longer around. There's no bookstores like that anymore.
I don't remember having them here.
Well, see, so that's the difference. Your mall was Shore Mall. I grew up in Plymouth Meeting, and until King of Prussia came along and kicked our butt, Plymouth Meeting Mall was like the mall. You know, in fact,
the Hamilton Mall came around. I was in high school,
and that sort of but even now, like Shore Mall didn't really die until the last year or so. Last 3 or 4 years.
They had some classics there, like the Orange Julius, the Buster Brown, the Radio Shack, the Foot Locker,
sure.
the Ann's.
Annie Ann's, you gotta have Annie Ann's, right? What else how about C's Candies? Did your mall have C's Candies in it?
Don't recall that name. No. But
okay.
Ann's, as we mentioned, the Cinnabon.
Yeah, definitely had that. Every mall had a food court. Our mall, I'm old enough that our mall, the anchor store was at one end was Strawbridge and Clothier, and at the other end was Litt Brothers. Litt Brothers got replaced by Hess's, and Hess's then got replaced by Boscov's. So Boscov's is the store that's currently in there. On the other end, where Strawbridge and Clothier was, that got replaced by Macy's, and I think that Macy's is now currently closed. So now there's nothing in the one end.
Yeah, see the Shore Mall. I remember it having it originally had, it had a Sears. It was the Sears Town Mall. I think it was the original name of it.
Oh, okay.
The Shore Mall, Sears, and had Sears, and then Sears moved out to the Hamilton Mall, and then it became like a Value City. It was it wasn't a Clover. Clover was on the other side where Burlington Coat Factory.
Okay. I liked Clover. I used to go to Clover back in the day.
Yeah, when I was young and I was in Clover, I got picked up for stealing, but it was like by accident. I didn't really steal because I was trying to steal. Like the baseball cards were all open and we were like, oh, look at this, free baseball cards.
Right, so you just helped yourself.
Yeah, and then the guy jumped out and grabbed us by the shoulder. He was like, hey, got some baseball cards? We're like, no.
Did any of your malls have a ground round?
No ground round. But people keep texting in Chi-Chi's.
Oh, yeah. Well, Chi-Chi's, not only do I remember Chi-Chi's, I remember the damn song. Yeah, it's a Chi-Chi celebration on your very special day.
I don't think that we had a Chi-Chi's.
That was like the birthday, or maybe that was Coco's. Sorry, Coco's, Chi-Chi's, 220, 221, whatever it takes.
So Chi-Chi's was a celebration of food.
Oh, my goodness.
Although I don't think we ever had one. I don't recall having one. But the Boscov's, when that was put in, that was the grand new thing, like the Boscov's, and that's where it's still going. And now
here's an interesting one. How about Wilson's Leather? Did you have a Wilson's Leather anywhere?
Yes, we did have a Wilson's Leather.
Yep, 763 stores at one point.
Are they still going?
No, I don't think so. But I also, as I was doing research for this, saw Structure, and I can remember in the 90s. Yeah. Structure was a big place to get hip shirt.
Structure got bought. Structure was Express for men, though, was like the men's version. And then they got bought out or whatever. And then Sears bought the Structure line. So you can go to Sears still and get Structure stuff.
Yeah, if you can find a Sears.
Well, I'm saying back when the Sears was at the Hamilton Mall, when you went to the Sears men's section, they had Structure clothing there.
Did anybody say Tom McCann? Remember the shoe store, Tom McCann?
No.
You don't remember Tom McCann?
The Piercing Pagoda was brought up.
Oh, Piercing Pagoda was a big one. I mean, think about how many girls, now I guess guys.
You had American Eagle, right?
That was a big one, sure.
Now, when I was in West Virginia, we had the American Eagle Outfitters. It was like another offshoot of them.
Did any of your malls have a casual corner?
I believe so.
Or a fashion bug?
Fashion bug, definitively, yes.
I heard Josh explode with that one.
Yeah, the fashion bug, like the shore ball had the DEB or the Deb. I don't know what it was,
right.
But I don't know if that was like unique to the shore mall or that the Deb was like a chain for others. I don't know, but you always had the Champs and the Foot Locker. They were like the competitors, like across from each other, but they're still going.
That's true. How about Suncoast Motion Picture Company? Remember that in the neon? It had like the black facade, and it had all kinds of movie posters and videos and things like that.
Well, and the one that originated this was on the Mount Rushmore for Kincaid was the Wall, which is where I used to work, and then their competitor Sam Goody.
That's right. We had a Wall. We had Sam Goody. We also had something called We 3 Records, which I guess must have been more local than I thought, because I thought that was one of the Wall was. Yeah, the Wall was wall-to-wall sound and video. Then it was taken over by Camelot, I guess, but they're all gone now. Right?
Yeah, those were the stores where you would literally walk in and just like thumb through CDs for like an hour while your mother was walking around the mall.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we had a we had a Woolworth store in the mall that was 2 levels. So it had everything from soup to nuts, and it had a lunch counter.
Yeah.
You could go sit down at the lunch counter.
Yeah, Jersey P says Foot Locker and Champs. We brought that up. Brad goes with Lids. Now, Lids is still rocking.
Yeah, very much so. Everybody needs a hat. Got to get it.
Jeff won't give me the Sears. All right. Yeah. Now, Kyle wants to get in the guy selling fake jewelry in the middle of the mall.
Well, yeah.
Or any place that's
you get your gold necklace, and then you have this green rash, and you don't understand why. But it was such a deal.
Any place selling cell phone, like something to protect your cell phone.
Sure. That's prevalent.
What a business that is that's still going. Like, cell phone stuff is just like.
I got my first cell phone at a kiosk at the King of Prussia Mall. That was and the rest, as they say, is history.
Yeah.
The first one when I got back to the area. I'm sorry, I had one in Nebraska, but it was much more rudimentary.
Yeah, that was fun. Now, somebody said Pac Sun. Remember that? Yeah, the Pac Sun. They have a Pac Sun over at the outlet in Atlantic City, I think.
Yeah, you know what? I was sad to learn the Reebok is no longer over at the outlet. I didn't know that.
They moved.
Oh, so they're still in the outlet. They're just in a different location.
Well, Victoria's Secret moved to where Reebok was. Reebok is now in a smaller store.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's good.
Unless the smaller version of the Reebok closed.
No. I was talking about the corner one, the big one. I
noticed
that around vaccine time when I was going over to get my.
No,
vaccine.
they moved the Victoria's Secret's now in there.
Gotcha.
Which nobody gave you. Victoria's Secret's a mall store, American Eagle, and GameStop.
Yep. GameStop, boy. Why did we get that stock?
Are you done on the Phils?
I'm not done with them. I mean, look, I continue to. It's an exercise in futility. I continue to watch them. Right, Zach Wheeler tonight. Obviously, I'm going to watch him because they got a chance to win until the bullpen comes in and blows it. I mean, that's really what you're looking at.
And you're not watching the Stanley Cup.
No, I'm not really watching the Stanley Cup.
I'm sure you're kind of out on the NBA playoffs.
I mean, look, I'm into it when people talk to me about it. Like I was actually at my golf trainer yesterday when the news came down that Trae Young was definitely out. And then like Giannis and so the guy said, "Who do you think wins?" I said, "Where's the game?" He says, "Milwaukee." I said, "I think Milwaukee wins." And that was my pick. I mean, so I'm following it from afar. To be honest with you, I've been using this time now. I have now caught up on season 7 of Bosch, which dropped on Amazon Prime. I watched the whole thing. It was great. And that was the finale. Bosch is a detective in LA. I think you'd like it actually because you like that kind of stuff.
I'm looking for a new show.
There's 7 seasons of it on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
It's called Bosch, BOSCH.
I know. I see people tweeting about it. So
you have the HBO. Did you watch The Mayor of Easttown?
No, someone told me to watch that though.
Yeah, now that's only 7 episodes. So if you're looking the first thing I gave you was 7 seasons. If you're looking for something with just a little a little salad version of TV viewing, check out Mayor of Easttown because everyone was talking about it. Kate Winslet's unbelievable in it, and it's kind of set in Delco, Delaware County. So they're all talking about Wawa and Wooder and putting the accents on. There's Yinglings and Rolling Rocks in there and all that stuff.
All right, Pete Thompson. Happy Hour Friday. I feel like I had other things I wanted to talk about. I don't know. I had a list, but it's Friday. I was,
It's all right. Billy and I are going to have fun. We have a bunch of interviews that I got from the Ron Jaworski Celebrity Golf Classic.
Oh.
So I'm going to join Billy on Sunday for Independence Day.
Oh, that's great.
We had a bunch of guests, including, and this one really chaps Billy's butt, Joe Flacco, because if you know, Billy's been trying to get Joe Flacco to be his guest for a while now.
He's big timed him.
PT asks, "Oh yeah, sure, no problem."
Wait, so
Billy,
Flacco's coming on, or you got him at the golf tournament?
I got him at the golf tournament for a little pre-recorded segment.
Did you tell him the whole genesis of like?
Absolutely. And he's like,
And what did he say?
he says, "You work with that guy?" I said, "Yeah, he's not as crazy as he comes off to be. He's harmless."
That's a total lie.
You know. Well, I'm trying to protect my partner's reputation.
Okay.
I think Scott Air is going to join us too, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
So
I like Scott.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. Plus, I
That is
got
confirmed. Josh says.
Plus, it's Independence Day, so we'll have a good time.
Okay, that sounds like a fun show. You guys do a fun show. I like that.
Thank you, buddy.
Pete Thompson, and you can hear him on Sunday for 2 hours in the locker room with Billy Schweim, who apparently has only watched 10 movies that have all appeared to be
North Shore, 1987. Right. Except for one surfing one.
All right, Peter.
All right, man. Have fun. See
Take
you
care.
guys.
See ya. Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Happy Hour Friday with Pete Thompson. It's Happy Hour Friday. That's what happens. We go off the rails a little bit. Jeff Kerr is going to pull us back on the rails. We have a team in the NFC East that's going to be on Hard Knocks. We'll tell you what that is and more coming up next here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN, the free mobile app. At 5:31, we told you a NFC East team is going to the Hard Knocks brand. We'll discuss that and more. Jeff Kerr, CBS Sports, 97.3 ESPN.com. He'll be covering the Eagles for this season, starting with training camp, which is less than a month away. Jeff is back here on a Friday edition, a happy hour Friday of the Sports Bash. And we'll open with that. The Hard Knocks series is back, Jeff. I got to say, last year I missed it, the two LA teams. It was the first time I didn't watch it. It was kind of lost in the sauce with the COVID and everything. But I will certainly be tuning in for this year's edition. An NFC East team has been announced to be representing the Hard Knocks brand, and they will be.
I will always watch the Dallas Cowboys on Hard Knocks, Mike Gill. I will watch that episode at least 3 times a week when that happens.
So what is it about the Cowboys you would like to be revealed during the Hard Knocks this season?
I really want to see how Mike McCarthy runs an NFL franchise. I really do. That's the one. The Cowboys have so many intriguing storylines as it is. With Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, Amari Cooper, their injuries on the offensive line, how bad their defense is. There's always going to be some drama in Big D. That's just the way it is. Everything's bigger in Texas anyway. So this is going to be a lot of fun for not only Cowboys fans, but NFC East fans, NFL fans, and I got to give Jerry Jones a lot of credit. I don't think Hard Knocks really affects how your team is going to perform this year. And Jerry Jones saw a marketing opportunity for his football team, and he took advantage of it. Good for him.
Yeah, well, I know that this is a situation where everybody gets to kind of look in and see how the Cowboys look. With obviously, you'll get a firsthand look at how Dak Prescott's going to look.
Yeah, and you know what? Last year I thought would have been an excellent year for the Cowboys to get in Hard Knocks, but they weren't eligible because they made the playoffs in 2018. You have to miss the playoffs for 2 consecutive years to be considered in Hard Knocks. But we got to be honest here, Mike. The whole Dak Prescott come back from his injury thing, will he or won't he play this preseason? How's he going to look? Again, you touch base on probably the biggest subject there, but how's Mike McCarthy going to handle year 2 in this regime? Because remember last year at this time, we kept hearing, he was going to elevate the Cowboys and they were going to be better than they were under Jason Garrett, and they just fell flat on their face. So anything that happens with this team come July and August is going to be entertaining.
Yeah, well, we know this. Their offense is going to be pretty loaded. I mean, with Dak Prescott back, even if he's not the same Prescott that he was, he's got plenty of weapons to help him out.
I think Dak Prescott's going to have a huge year, honestly, because he, as you said, Mike, he has all those weapons. We talk about Ezekiel Elliott, but they also have Tony Pollard. They have a solid offensive line. Maybe Dak won't be as mobile as he once was, but I don't think he needed to be. The guy was on pace to throw for nearly 6,000 yards last year before his season-ending injury. You have Amari Cooper. You have Blake Jarwin. You have Michael Gallup. You have CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb's going to be a stud this year. I'm going to call that right now. So this team is – there's plenty of star power on Dallas. There's no doubt about it.
The opt-out deadline was today. I don't know that there was any high profile or any to begin with, but everybody was watching to see if Aaron Rodgers was going to utilize it. I guess he didn't, or nor did anybody else.
A certain quarterback did not opt out, and as far as I know in the NFL transaction wire, nothing has happened. So
yeah. All right. So that was something that everybody was going to kind of keep in their eye on. I guess that was one way he could have approached it by just saying, you know what? I'm opting out this year. Have fun with your and they would have to pay him too, right? You have to pay if somebody opts out. You get what, like $150,000 or something?
Yeah, something like that. But the only way I could see Aaron Rodgers actually opting out is if he got the Jeopardy gig, and I don't even think they named someone for that.
Yeah. All right. Well, by the way, go back to the Hard Knock. How about Zeke Elliott's personal trainer? This is like akin to the Ben Simmons stuff. Came out and said how much quicker and how much more nimble that he is this year. So I guess that's something else we're going to see if we see a slimmed down version of Zeke Elliott.
Even if we do see a slimmed down version, I'm not convinced Zeke Elliott is back until I see it on the football field. We kept hearing in 2020, Zeke Elliott, he's going to erase those 2019 demons because he was in Cabo and, he was out training and he wasn't mentally prepared for the season. Well, he was worse in 2020 and he was prepared for the season. So, again, it's, are we going to see 2016 to 2018 Zeke Elliott, or are we going to see the last 2 seasons of Zeke Elliott? Again, another intriguing story. By the way, here's another one too. Micah Parsons. That's going to be someone to watch.
Absolutely, to see how he fits into that defense. And that whole defense is going to be something to watch. Maybe not in the show, but during the course of the year. They were brutal last year.
They were one of the worst defenses in football. They actually kind of I don't want to say they righted the ship, but they weren't as bad as they were the first 6-7 weeks. So they kind of got a little bit better and enough to stay in the NFC East race, but they were still putrid.
Absolutely putrid. I remember in the early season, Dak was still playing in the game. I think they were playing Cleveland. It's going back and forth, and I'm listening to the game on the radio, and it was the home radio. I have Sirius Radio NFL, so I'm outside doing some yard work, and I'm listening to Brad Sham do the call, and the guy, he just couldn't keep it together how bad their defense was. Like, the whole broadcast typically tries to polish it up for you. He's like, I can't do it anymore. This is so bad.
That was the game Odell Beckham did like the end around reverse and scored like a 40-yard touchdown. Like, wow, Odell can still do this? I wasn't aware of that. And it just showed you how bad this defense actually was. And I think that Cleveland game actually showed me two things. One, the Browns were going to be a force to be reckoned with, and the Cowboys weren't really that good.
No, the Cowboys defense, we know it would have been interesting to see what I'm imagining if Dak turned out or played the whole year. Their defense turned out in the second half to be a lot better than it was in the first half. They probably would have won the division.
If Dak Prescott was healthy all season, the Dallas Cowboys would have won the NFC East. I think they would have won 9 games.
I agree. I would agree with that. And I think we both kind of agree that going into this season, they're my favorite in the NFC East. I don't know what that means, but to me, they're the favorite.
It's them in Washington. Right now, I would pick Dallas, but I'm not going to sell Washington short. Again, if Washington can get a top 15 offense, and I've said this before, if their offense can go top 15, I think they win the NFC East. But again, is Ryan Fitzpatrick going to be Ryan Fitzpatrick in Miami, or is he going to be Ryan Fitzpatrick in, I don't know, say Buffalo, the inconsistent turnover-prone quarterback? You just don't know what you're going to get with this guy.
Yeah, it's definitely, I would say this. It's definitely, though, a step up for them from where they've been at the quarterback position, because they have been a disaster at that spot. I mean, they have had to use guys that just weren't really NFL players.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And that's been the problem with Dallas. Like, Ben DiNucci, I know he said this week, this wasn't me last year. I'm like, no, that was you. You were really bad. But I got to give you some credit. Yeah, I played Carson Wentz on Sunday Night Football, so I got to toot my horn out to Ben DiNucci, but I just can't see the Dallas Cowboys making him their backup quarterback this year.
Yeah, and they went from Ben DiNucci. Garrett Gilbert came in and won them a game, I think, right?
He did, yeah. I actually kind of kept them alive in the NFC East race for a little bit.
Right. If he would have played the game against the Eagles, they probably would have won that game.
Exactly. And here's the thing, like going into Week 17, they still had the opportunity to win that division. They had to beat the Giants, and then obviously they needed the Eagles to beat Washington. We know that didn't happen, but I think Dallas was kind of relieved they didn't win. I think they really coveted having that top 10 draft pick. It was almost like, okay, we dodged a bullet. Like, we want to go to the playoffs, but we really don't want to go at 7-9.
Jeff Kerr at Jeff Kerr CBS, as we're taking a look at a couple little NFL topics as we're getting ready for, training camp coming up in just a couple of weeks here. We told you the Cowboys are going to be the Hard Knock team. Now, when does that start?
So Hard Knocks, I didn't get the official date. I hadn't actually looked at the press release yet. But
because doesn't Dallas start early? Don't they have an early game this year?
I think the actual premiere day of Hard Knocks is August 10th.
Okay, yeah, because I know Dallas is one of the teams that opens up camp a little earlier.
Yeah, they open up the 22nd of July compared to the 27th.
Yeah, so they can get a little head start on filming and getting that thing kind of put together. So that'll be interesting. What is your talk on what happened in Washington? A lot of people, looking at that kind of a slap on the wrist. It is like the biggest fine that an organization, but people are kind of not happy with what happened.
Here's the thing. I don't know what you want them to do. I mean, $10 million is $10 million. It's still a lot of money that an organization is paying. I mean, I really don't know how you can punish Washington. This isn't the NCAA. We can't suspend them from playing. So, again, reading the entire report is just gruesome, honestly. I honestly felt that they didn't get punished enough, but I just don't know how you penalize them more. Do you penalize them with more money? You can't take Daniel Snyder's ownership away. He's pretty much not the CEO there anymore anyway. His wife is.
Well, that was kind of they did that knowing this was happening, right?
Oh yeah, they definitely did. And they're like, oh, this was a couple years in the making. I'm like, yeah, I guess it was a couple years in the making after what everything's. I just couldn't believe the tone Daniel Snyder came out with. Like, I can't believe this happened under my watch. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, this has been talked about for years. Hasn't been talked about enough, honestly.
Yeah, the investigation 15 or at least 15 former employees alleged sexual misconduct in the workplace. Now, Snyder's wife, Tanya, I think her name is, will assume.
Tanya, I don't know why that's. You know why I have on Black Panther in the background? Tessa Thompson's on.
Will assume leadership of the day-to-day operations while Daniel Snyder supposedly focuses on stadium and other matters. And it's an unprecedented sum. I mean, this has never happened before, but it's still kind of most people would agree, a slap on the wrist. And the league report also set forth 10 specific recommendation the nameless football team is supposed to follow. So in theory, I guess there'll be some consequences, but we'll see. So
it's almost like, okay, we're watching you, but that's pretty much it. It's and again, like I love how Washington, when they hired Daniel Snyder's wife, it was, well, she's going to help us in the assistance of our new football team name. I'm like, boy, you guys are really trying to divert the fact here.
There has been some talk they're going to stick with the football team.
I mean, I guess they're going to stick with the football team. Here's the thing I found out, Mike. This is pretty interesting. I actually talked to the 49ers chief marketing officer about their new uniforms. And apparently, if you have new uniforms in store for 2022, you've already, and we are kind of talked about this with the Eagles last week, you had to submit them last month. So Washington probably already knows their team name by now.
That's a good point. So if you have to submit them by next year, you would think that you would have incorporated that in there, or they're sticking with the football team for another day.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
another year.
Oh, yeah, like 2021, 2022, and then we'll embrace in 2023. But maybe they already know. It's like, okay, here's our design, here's our uniform. We'll announce it after the year.
That's good investigative work out of you, Jeff Kerr.
I got a couple of by the way, the Eagles botched this too. You can have 4 sets of uniforms.
You could have 4 sets to wear next year.
Now you can have 4 sets. Like right now, you honestly, the Eagles could have theoretically submitted a Kelly Green uniform to the league next year.
Oh,
or next year. They could have done it.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot though. You couldn't wear the helmet.
Yeah, okay. So here's the thing, they could have had now, I don't know if Tampa's going to do it or not, but Tampa Bay has basically been waiting on this alternate helmet. And They purposely did not put out a 4th uniform, and they debuted their new unis last year. Well, their new old unis, I guess. They have a home, they have a road, and they have an alternate, the pewter ones, right?
Yep.
But everybody goes, so where's the 4th at? And they're like, well, we'll get back to you on that. And here's the thing. The 4th one is going to be their orange creamsicle uniform.
Right, but you couldn't wear a second helmet until next year.
Correct. Yeah. But the Eagles could have theoretically said in May or June, hey, even though without the helmet, hey, we're going to throw in this Kelly Green uniform.
It looks ridiculous without the helmet.
You don't have to wear it, but you can have it in the closet.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I could understand them not wanting to wear midnight green helmets with Kelly Green jerseys.
Yeah. Next year, they could make this, again, we could make this very interesting. They could say, okay, we're going to keep the black uniforms for next year, which they are going to do, but let's go black helmet.
You can get a secondary helmet next year.
Yeah, and then, the following year, they could say, okay, we're going to ditch the black helmet, and then we'll go back to Kelly Green. So, the 49ers, because I said, wait a minute, couldn't you only have 3 uniforms? They said, oh, no, we got 4. You can use 4. So they have their home, they have their road, they have their alternate, they have their 2 alternates, which are throwbacks. They're red 94 and they're white 94.
Right, exactly. I saw you tweet that out. I like the 49er. They're going back to the Jerry Rice era unis.
Yeah, this is for their 75th anniversary, and they kind of leaked that they might be going alternate helmet as well, but they already kind of have an alternate. They already have an alternate helmet, which I did not know that. They just changed the logo on their throwbacks.
Gotcha. Jeff Kerr, CBS Sports, at Jeff Kerr, CBS, on a happy hour Friday. Enjoy the weekend, 4th of July, man.
I can't wait, Mike. I'll tell you what, I'm going to the Phillies game Sunday. I probably should leave by the 5th inning or whenever the starter leaves so the bullpen doesn't blow it. But yeah, besides that, what do we got? 25 days. I'm starting to get there. I got a week's more vacation but I'm already in football mode. It's July now.
We all are. I'm ready to go. This Phillies team, you're going to get to see Tatis at least, so that's fun, and this Padres team is a blast. All right, man, enjoy the weekend.
Yep, sounds great. Enjoy the weekend, Mike. Happy
Jeff
4th.
Kerr, CBS Sports here on the Sports Bash. Of course, you'll be able to follow Jeff's coverage of the Eagles at 97.3 ESPN.com all season long. All right, we get ready to wrap up a Friday show. Happy Hour Friday, as we do here on a Sports Bash Friday, getting ready for the weekend. As we know, it is 4th of July, so we'll kind of mix it up. So we did the Mount Rushmores of just rando stuff. Do you have a Mount Rushmore of 4th of July barbecue food?
4th of July barbecue food. Okay, well, definitely burgers.
Yeah, you're a burger guy.
I love burgers. I'm a burger guy.
Yep.
I try to get a burger at almost every new place I go to, just to see how they do. I feel it's a very good delineation of if you're a responsible.
Burger's not a hard thing to. I mean,
you say that, but yet we've all been to places that messed up burgers.
get the dry burger,
sloppy burger. The breads fall all over the place, or the condiments on top of the burger are a mess, or maybe the burgers have that weird crack in the side or the middle of it, and you're trying to bite into it, and it falls on your plate. And you're like, well, I was going to bite into that, but now I have a fork, and I look like an idiot. There's a lot that goes into it.
Okay. Well, the burger's on your list.
Yeah, burger. Obviously, the traditional hot dog has to be there.
Got to.
I love a boneless chicken breast on the grill.
Always.
How about a nice bone, like a bone-free steak, like a London broil?
You're really going to a high-end party here that's making London broil for 4th of July. Like, is that part of your 4th of July barbecue party where you're going?
No.
Somebody sitting over the grill putting a London broil on there?
No, but for years my dad used to get, it wasn't New York strip. I forget what it was, but it was like a smaller boned out steaks, basically.
Yeah, I mean, you could do a London broil. They're not expensive, but seems like 4th of July, you got a lot of people at the party.
Also, the other thing is that have you ever had barbecued potatoes?
I think so.
Because I like barbecued potatoes. You have that with the other meats.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Because what you do is cook the meat first, cook the potatoes last. So the potato is getting a little bit of the meat grilled into it.
Hey, what does this say, by the way? All right. So John Arand, Sports Business Journal, sports ratings from Thursday night. Bucks Hawks, 4.8 million viewers.
Mm-hmm.
United States women's national team versus Mexico on FS1, 496,000. Wimbledon second round, 484. PGA Rocket Mortgage Golf, 433. Giants D-backs on ESPN, 316.
Wow.
I mean, the baseball game between the first place Giants. Now, it's the worst team, the Diamondbacks, I think, are the worst team. But that had 316,000 viewers. You had the Rocket Mortgage Golf with more viewers than the best team in the National League.
That is very bad look.
Right?
That's a horrible look. I mean, how do you even explain that?
I don't know. I mean,
if you're the guy who has to go to the advertisers or the upper management, explain why that happened. How's that conversation?
Well, I mean, it's volume. You're probably buying the baseball package, not, hey, can I buy this game?
Yeah, but how many games have been like that this year? It's probably more than that.
Well, even if you're getting on the low end, 316,000, which I don't think is accurate, but you're getting 316,000 a night.
Right.
But still
a bad look.
Yeah.
No bueno, senor.
No, not at all. So I'm trying to think. So we're off on Monday, but we got a special State of the Teams show coming up.
Yes.
We've got Bob Wankel going to be talking about the Phils in the 2:00 hour. Paul Hudrick going to be talking about the Sixers in the 3:00 hour, and then Jeff Mosher on the Eagles in the 4:00 hour. So there we go. Busy weekend. I got a couple parties I got to do. My buddy's birthday is 4th of July. I got another party on the 3rd.
I know you're excited.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to work. Even this job I don't want to do.
Well, it wasn't about the work. It was about the fact that you have to look forward to. You have things to look forward to. It's always a fun thing.
Yeah.
On Sunday, I'm going to go see a buddy of mine down one of my favorite establishments. He's bartending.
That's good news. That Jaws thing is actually intriguing to me. I don't know that I'll get there, but
it's a beautiful theater, man.
Yeah. I'd like to see Jaws in the theater, though.
It's a beautiful look. You really should go. Tonight, tomorrow.
Frank Close is going to be talking Phils tonight at 6:20.
Yeah. Phillies actually coming up momentarily.
Their lineup is out. I'll talk to you Tuesday.